Get your documents and operations into the 21st century with IoT Smart Connected Scanning. It's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-230-2777. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-230-2777, 800-230-2777, or biglou.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. A showdown coming between the federal government and Texas law enforcement. Strongly worded letter from the Department of Homeland Security to the state of Texas demands access to the border, the U.S.-Mexico border, on land seized by the state of Texas at Eagle Pass. DHS officials ordering the state to cease and desist its efforts to block Border Patrol's access in and around Shelby Park and remove all barriers to access by the end of the day on January 17th. Hey, that's today. DHS General Counsel writing to Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Texas's actions are clearly unconstitutional and are actively disrupting the federal government's operations. And what operations are those exactly? Processing processing people from other countries into this one.
Taking down fencing so that they could come in.
The recent actions of the state of Texas have impeded operations of the Border Patrol. These actions conflict with the authority and duties of Border Patrol under federal law and are preempted by the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution. The Breitbart News tried to inquire as to whether the use of the phrase the state of Texas is impeding, that's a particular word choice, impeding operations, meant that the federal government would pursue criminal prosecution against any individual, whether in law enforcement or not, in Texas that would impede Border Patrol operations, and they did not get a response from DHS indicating whether they were willing to go that far.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
There's something more to this story, although this is sort of the top line. We're going to have a moment here between General Abbott and General Biden, if you will, and their respective troops. Although I wouldn't necessarily call Border Patrol agents General Biden's real troops. They're doing their jobs, but as best they can, but obviously they have a general that's in absentia in more ways than one. This started little less than a week ago, on the evening of January 11th, the Texas Military Department seized Shelby Park in Eagle Pass and expelled Border Patrol agents. Border Patrol officials told Breitbart that the National Guard units quickly moved into Shelby Park in Eagle Pass. The Guardsmen erected barriers around the park and instructed Border Patrol agents to leave the area. And this is in part a fight over the efforts by Governor Abbott to secure the border in Texas, secure the portion of our border in Texas, including with razor wire and other impediments for people coming into this country. And, of course, the Biden administration, not wanting any impediments for people coming into this country, have deployed the Border Patrol to seize control of any land occupied by the Texas Military Department, the National Guard, and take down any barriers to entry that the state of Texas has sanctioned.
Right. They also have the buoys in the water. Remember, with the barbed
Right.
wire underneath?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
As a deterrent, saying, don't come in here. Don't come in anywhere.
So this is important because it was against this backdrop that we get this story a couple of days ago.
Oh, about the mom and two kids that allegedly drowned. Well, they did drown in the Rio Grande.
Mexican migrant woman and two small children drowned near Shelby Park. Mexican officials rescued other migrants in distress and recovered the bodies of the 3 drowned migrants. U.S. Representative Henry Cuellar and the D.C. Press Corps, among others, DHS, official story coming, flag this, here's the official story coming. And what do we know what to do when the official story is being delivered? Be highly skeptical.
That's what I was telling Justin yesterday. Like, this is not what you think it is.
The official story blames Governor Abbott's decision to keep Border Patrol agents from accessing the park as the proximate cause of the deaths of this woman and 2 small children. But for Governor Abbott preventing Border Patrol from rescue, and this is not critical of Border Patrol because they do rescue people all the time. They do save lives. We know this.
So does Texas National Guard. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they're all in the same business. Generally, the Texas National Guard, Border Patrol. These are all, great Americans that are
saving lives on a daily basis. Because
they got into law enforcement. They got into these jobs for the purpose of doing something other than Biden is tasking them with doing. That's the point. Kept Border Patrol agents from accessing the park, thus preventing them from saving those people who unfortunately died.
But that's not the true story. So, and even ABC 7 Chicago yesterday had to recant what they said the day before and the day before, saying that the migrants were already dead, I'm sorry to say, when Border Patrol contacted them.
Well, sort of. It's a little bit more specific than that. It's the Mexican government.
Right.
Mexican government, 9 p.m. on January 12th, advised Border Patrol of 2 migrants in distress on the U.S. side of the river in the area near Shelby Park. Mexican officials also informed Border Patrol that 3 migrants, 1 woman and 2 children, had drowned at approximately 8 p.m. in the same area. So Border Patrol was informed an hour by the Mexican government,
Right.
an hour after those 3 migrants had died. But the official story is Governor Abbott told the National Guard to stand down, prevent Border Patrol from going in there and saving lives, and thus 3 people are dead. And this is the inhumane policies of Governor Abbott and anybody else who would seek to protect the U.S. border and provide some sanity to people trying to get into this country.
In fact, when Border Patrol requested access to the park, Mexican officials were already, Dan, recovering those 3 bodies on its side of the river, on the Mexican side of the river.
This is yet another illustration of the vilification that the neo-Jacobins are happy to do. You can be a former president of the United States. You can be a law enforcement officer, Border Patrol officer. I mean, this is the same group that demonized their own personnel in the infamous non-horsewhipping incident.
Oh, I remember that. That made me so mad.
Border Patrol, they take a picture of Border Patrol are horse-whipping Haitian migrants trying to get into this country. No. But Mayorkas was right over the top right away on the Sunday talk show saying he was, distressed about what was happening and he's going to wait for a full investigation. But he didn't wait for a full investigation. In the next breath, he condemned his own people, Border Patrol agents, without having any facts. We're going to get to the bottom of it. And then they hoped that it would be memory hold, and months went by. And finally, we found out nothing of the sort that was accused actually transpired.
Right. And those Border Patrol agents were eventually returned to the front lines. And they stopped the horse program for a while. I don't know if they brought it back yet. But there's certain terrain where you can't use ATVs. You can't use vehicles. You have to use horses. But I loved what Greg Abbott, he tweeted out. Turns out Rep. Collier and the media were so eager to point fingers at Texas for the drowning of the migrants, they forgot to get the facts straight. When Border Patrol requested access to the river, the drownings had already occurred and the bodies were found in Mexico. The fact is the deaths are because of Biden's open border magnet.
So here's the larger point beyond the border in terms of who you're dealing with. Even during the French Revolution, I know, this is rhetorical and we have these intellectual fights and fights over misinformation and we have it on social media because we're so much more civilized than, those autocrats who deposed the monarchy and seized control of the French government in the late 1700s. They took people right to the guillotine and had public executions. This is a 21st century version of that. What you've seen happening, they call it cancel culture, which is a very sanitized description. It's a 21st century version of that because one of the things that was required to get to take people to the guillotine was to whip up public frenzy. These are enemies of the state. These are interlopers. These are bad actors. These are the barbarians. And it was trumped up, pun intended. And so when Trump says, they're coming after me, but they're really coming after you, I'm just standing in their way. I'm not saying that he's going to save everybody and single-handedly reverse America's cultural course. But perhaps there's something that he doesn't even appreciate that he's properly communicating when he communicates it, that they will attempt to destroy anyone by any means necessary who gets in their way. That's your federal government doing that.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, no more domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
That's the greatest tease of 2024. But now let's head into the newsroom. Is this considered a warm-up, Mike? I don't know.
It's winter.
I know.
Deal with it.
Hey, CPS is back at school.
Hey,
yay,
miracles
yay.
never cease.
After 5 days of being locked out, yay, the door's open.
5:31 on AM 560, The Answer. And this morning, it is 2 degrees above with a wind chill of minus 15. A group of Democrat senators are calling for a freeze on U.S. military aid to Israel. 9 Democrats and 1 Republican voted to support the resolution to freeze military aid if the State Department failed to meet a reporting deadline. ABC News is canceling their GOP primary debate scheduled for Thursday, citing lack of participation. Both former President Trump and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley failed to respond to a given deadline Tuesday afternoon.
There should be complete transparency in the classroom. No parent should ever wonder what's being said or taught to their child in school.
Nikki Haley rallying parents on education in New Hampshire, while Donald Trump rallied the faithful in Atkinson, New Hampshire last night.
We were the first candidate ever to get more than 52% of the vote. We now have our eyes on a very special place. You know what that place is? New Hampshire.
The former president finished the Iowa caucuses with 51% of the vote, 30 points ahead of second-place Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. The oldest member of the U.S. Senate is hospitalized this morning. The office of Chuck Grassley says the 90-year-old Republican is in good spirits, receiving antibiotic infusions to treat an infection. Health officials are warning that people who traveled through Virginia's Dulles International Airport and Ronald Reagan Washington National may have been exposed to measles. The pause button appears to have been hit on the planned $24 billion merger between two of the country's largest grocery chains, Kroger and Albertsons. Both now say the deal has been delayed following concerns from regulators. The merger includes local jewel stores, but not Mariano's locations, which are being sold. Northern Illinois remains bitterly cold. Will be in the grips of a wind chill advisory until 9 a.m. Again, as you heard, most area schools are reopening for in-person learning today. There's a few public school districts that will continue e-learning, but most private schools and colleges are back in class. A much-loved venue in Oakbrook Terrace was damaged in a fire Tuesday afternoon. Firefighters were called to the Drury Lane Theater, where they found smoke and flames engulfing a mechanical room on the second floor of the Broadway venue. Employees had safely self-evacuated. A suburban property developer is agreeing to pay more than $12 million in a class action lawsuit filed over demolition that left a cloud of dust over Chicago's Little Village neighborhood in 2020. Indiana State Representative Earl Harris of East Chicago is looking to continue his late father's dream of luring an NFL team to Northwest Indiana. Authored by Harris, there is a House bill in Indiana, 1174, proposing a 19-member Sports Development Commission for Northwest Indiana and assigning the commission the task of luring a pro sports franchise. Peter Mrazek was dazzling in goal, especially in the shootout, in a 2-1 Blackhawk win over San Jose last night. They visit snowbound Buffalo next, while the Bulls get ready for the Raptors tomorrow. The news is a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka knows the fascists.
Who deployed the FBI to raid Mar-a-Lago, the residence of a former president? Whose DOJ used illegal surveillance more than 200,000 times on innocent Americans? Fascists are the Democrat Party and the Biden regime.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
When you need to ship sensitive or large and heavy equipment, the DC Group in Elk Grove has the experience and expertise to handle the biggest and most complicated jobs. DC Export and Domestic Packing, Inc. was founded in 1974 by the husband and wife team of Dominic and Carol Cacciamiglio. Beginning in a building not much bigger than a 4-car garage, the company now boasts 2 Chicago area facilities totaling 100,000 square feet, plus a 45,000 square foot FTZ warehouse in Greenville, South Carolina. Through these facilities and their long-standing agents, they offer nationwide packing, crating, container, and flat rack loading unloading, as well as warehousing, all with heavy lift capabilities. Other products available include custom-made boxes, crates, skids, and corrosion control solutions. DC Transport was founded in 1991 to meet the growing needs of their customers and provide transportation services throughout North America. From container drayage to super heavy haul loads, DC Transport can help you move just about anything. Go to dcexport.com for more info and to get in touch. dcexport.com.
Long day. Time to charge up.
Hey, just like my delivery truck.
Even kids know to keep business moving forward, it's time to make the switch to electric vehicles. Whether you have one van or a whole fleet of trucks, resources are available to help you make the changes that make sense.
Let's go.
Beep, beep.
Go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
You cannot live forever, but your legacy can. For over 185 years, families have trusted Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago to set their legacies in stone. With 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties, a prepaid cemetery plan locks in today's prices and safeguards against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Calling all firearm owners, enthusiasts, and Second Amendment patriots. Both experienced and novice customers are cordially invited to visit MOA Industries in Bensenville. MOA Industries is a Class 7 firearms dealer providing a myriad of services, including firearm sales, gunsmithing, certified Cerakote application, laser engraving, firearms instruction on a private range, firearms transfers for only $40, and discounts for veterans and first responders. With a large selection of firearms, customization services, and CCL license classes and renewals, MOA Industries strives to be your one-stop shop for all your firearms needs. Visit MOAindustries.com today. Your Second Amendment needs are the first priority. No high-pressure salesmen, just friendly, relaxed professionals dedicated to providing the best service possible. MOA Industries is located in nearby Bensenville. Ready to pull the trigger? Call 630-766-7593. That's 630-766-7593. Or visit online at MOAindustries.com. That's MOAindustries.com. MOAindustries.com.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
5:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time will start in Riverdale. 131st between Langley and Evans, completely shut down due to police activity this morning. Number 34 buses are being rerouted at this time. Bishop Ford already jamming between 103rd and the Ryan merge. The Ryan Express lanes inbound are slow, purging into the Stevenson Expressway. Kennedy Express lanes slowing up outbound between Ohio and the Edens Expressway. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Becoming cloudy. High of 18 today. Snow begins overnight around 10 p.m., accumulating about an inch or two by morning. A low of 15. Morning snow continues. Again, cold tomorrow, high 21, and a low tomorrow night of 9. 3 above at O'Hare, 5 above at Midway, 1 above in Aurora, 5 above along Chicago's lakefront. And your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. No more domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Excuse my sticks. Because out in Oak Brook and other charging lots for Teslas.
Yeah, they're supercharging stations. Supercharge.
We got a bunch of dead robots.
Electric cars may be the way of the future, but it's clear there are some problems when it comes to charging them in Chicago's deep freeze.
Oh, we got a bunch of dead robots out here.
Dead robots. Dead Teslas packed the parking lot at this Tesla supercharging station in Oak Brook, a scene mirrored in other supercharging stations around the Chicago area.
Man, this is crazy. It's a disaster, seriously.
With temperatures falling into the negative double digits, these charging ports have stopped charging, leaving many Tesla owners stranded here in long lines since Sunday.
Nothing, no juice, it's still on 0%, and this is like 3 hours this morning being out here, after being out here 8 hours yesterday.
Has it been charging?
No, not at all.
It just isn't working.
at all. It's just frozen, and so I'm getting it towed to the Tesla Service Center because that's my only option at this point.
That was venerable newsman Dane Placco reporting for Fox Chicago. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 646-36DA, turnkey.pro text line. If you're one of the 7.5% of Americans who own an EV, how is your EV holding up under the deep freeze?
And even before this segment, did you hear the push for EVs?
It's constant.
It's everywhere you turn. And eventually, you were all going to have to get electronic vehicles. After seeing that, there's no way in the world I would ever want an electronic vehicle. Ever. I mean, it's like a car graveyard in Oak Brook, but there's also one downtown. You can't even get in there. People are waiting because cars are dead. So then you have to get them towed to get them out of that spot. So somebody could come in and try and do the same fruitless exercise of trying to charge your car. It's not working. So then they're taking all these EVs back to the Tesla store. And it's a joke. I mean, there's advice because they say with all new technology, Dan, there's a learning curve. So this is Mark Bialik of the Chicago Auto Trade Association.
It's not plug and go. You have to precondition the battery, meaning that you have to get the battery up to the optimal temperature to accept the fast charge.
Well, guess what? There is no optimal temperature when it's minus 30 wind chill and minus 5 degrees outside.
Text from 630, caught an Uber to Midway this morning. Guy had a Tesla Model Y. 15-mile trip, ate up 45 miles of his range. Yeah, right. Well, there you go. I mean, we know the performance lags in cold weather, and of course it is bitterly cold. Something else, though, too. Say, well, you're going to get your EV loyalists to say, well, yeah. I mean, there's certainly some issues, but and despite the sticker prices, over the long term, it's more cost effective to own an EV, right? It's cheaper to own an EV. So this is, again, ushering us into a brave new world where the cost of owning a vehicle will be cheaper and operating it will be cheaper.
Text message, Dan and Amy, I just bought a Tesla last week. So if you don't have a garage that's possibly heated and a charger for yourself, it's a bad idea to buy one.
Yeah.
You know how much it costs to put a charging port? It costs thousands of dollars to put that in.
Yeah, but of course you have the government putting its finger on the scale on behalf of EVs and those who manufacture them with subsidies for both the cars and the charging stations.
Unless you have an EV car that the battery was made in China now, they won't give you any kickbacks.
You still get your subsidy on the purchase of the vehicle. Yeah. That's big because actually that's the only thing that even keeps EVs competitive to gas-powered cars when it comes to cost effectiveness. New research out. Maxwell Woody is a research assistant pursuing his PhD, University of Michigan, I believe. Anyway, he and his colleagues looked at this and looked at all the studies that have previously concluded that EVs are more cost-effective. So they adjusted for the effect of temperature on fuel efficiency. Our friend going to Midway highlights that point. Track vehicles over 25-year lifetimes. Categorize vehicles by size, range, and type. Accounted for different EV charging behaviors and explore the cost of ownership in 14 cities across America. Researchers found that while small and low-range EVs capable of traveling around 200 miles are indeed less expensive to own than gas-powered counterparts, larger long-range EVs that can cover 400 miles are more expensive. Midsize SUV EVs, which are the top-selling models by far, only reach cost parity if government incentives are applied.
Okay.
The researcher's summary is EVs are competitive in cities with high gasoline prices, low electricity prices, moderate climates, and direct purchase incentives. Boy, that's a lot of variables that have to line up to make this make sense. But anyway, high gasoline prices, low electricity prices, moderate climates, direct purchase incentives, and for users with, to your texter's point, home charging access, time of use electricity pricing, and high annual mileage. Boy, that is you really need to thread the needle to make this make economic sense. To a large extent, it turns out, and I mean, you're talking about like break-even points, reaching cost parity for most of these EVs that are. Well, by the time you reach cost parity, it's time to buy a new one. Small 300-mile range vehicles break even in under 10 years. Larger 300-mile range vehicles break even in under 10 years in many cities. There are a few cities in which 400-mile EV compact and midsize sedans will break even with gas-powered counterparts after 15 or 20 years. Still, there are numerous unknowns in the assessment, whether a substantial number of EVs will require battery replacements outside of their warranties. Also unknown is how the cost of gasoline and electricity will change in the future. And the study did not compare vehicle costs in rural areas. Basically, just in terms of how complicated this picture is, as opposed to what the pro EV subsidizers will tell you. The greatest factor in determining whether an EV will be cheaper to own than a gas vehicle is the ability to charge at home, where electricity is the cheapest. Without home charging, an EV will likely never be cheaper over its lifetime. And in point of fact, they give a range on the savings. Home charging access reduces the lifetime cost by approximately $10,000 on average and up to $26,000 with respect to EVs. So, I mean, that's the real source of savings to make it more cost effective or even to reach cost parity in a reasonable period of time.
Yeah, but a lot of people in the city live in apartments, so they can't
of course.
do that.
Well, yeah, of course. But the point is just like, the modern miracle is revolution. It is an unalloyed good. There are no downsides. It clearly dwarfs the horse and buggy of our day, the gas-powered vehicle. And that's not the case. Not now. Who knows what innovations may come, but all we can do is assess what our choices are right now, can't we?
And I would never, ever get an EV right now because your life is on the line. If your car breaks down, you're screwed unless a good Samaritan comes and helps you. I mean, it's that cold outside. And one guy that Dane Placco interviewed was there for 20 hours, Dan.
Well, not outside.
No, I know, but he hooked up his car. Then he went in that warming station right there. He spent overnight there and nothing. He still had 2/3 charged.
Yeah, well, he's a bit of a slow learner.
Well, I know.
This is what's going to happen. By the way, just a related story, Hertz announced it's selling off 20,000 of its EVs to buy more gas-powered cars at a $245 million loss.
Best move ever. That's my company, Hertz, and I travel a lot, and they put me in one of those, and I got in there, and it was just 10% charge. I'm like, I can't drive from Phoenix to Tucson in that, and I'm not going to spend my 2 days with my mom looking for charging stations.
Well,
so
and from
you had to get back in and get a different car.
And from the owner's perspective, the company's perspective, bottom line sensitive, Hertz said that the electric cars hurt the company due to their high cost to repair damage and depreciation of value. So again, trade-offs.
Yep.
A
lot of people on the line here.
Mike in Yorkville.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. This whole electric vehicle thing reminds me of a commercial that we often see, but I'm going to rename it EVD, Electric Vehicle Dysfunction. You lack performance, longevity, and satisfaction. But you're not going to get it for 87 cents per pill. Have a good day, guys.
That's pretty good.
Is there a generic form?
EVD, Electric Vehicle Dysfunction. Yeah, it could be.
Best.
It could be a picture of two people at that Oak Brook Tesla charging station sitting in their dead Teslas, looking out at like the Chicago skyline from the Oak Brook Mall. I like that. Electric vehicle dysfunction. That's pretty good. Will and Skokie.
Good morning. I'm a former physicist, and basically I'm constrained by facts and numbers and what actually works and what actually doesn't. If you were to go to electric vehicles in 50% of the country, just 50%, you would have to increase the electrical generation power of the United States by 16 times. That's never going to happen. If you look at the recent thing down at Joliet, a company that has a trucking fleet, they wanted to put in 40 charging stations for the trucking fleet. The city of Joliet says, can't do that. You're going to grab as much power as about half the city. So it's not going to happen, but at least not with the technology we have. And I don't see how battery technology is going to get much closer to efficiency than it is today.
Well, Will, thanks for the call. And by the way, being a physicist is like being a Marine. Once you're a physicist, you're always a physicist. You're never a former. Yeah.
So nice.
But bite your tongue on the battery technology, because Governor Jellybelly is putting your money on the line for that Goshen EV battery plant in Manteno.
Yeah.
$500 million in subsidies, speaking of the subsidizers. And they already got a check for $125 million, 2 checks that total $125 million for doing nothing. So, yeah, money's out the door. So we're all in Illinois. Jeff in Antioch.
Oh, hi, good morning. Give me my 1975 Chevy Nova, 6-cylinder, 3-speed, starts in 20 below. If the battery goes dead, you can push start it. Thank you.
There you go. Thanks for the call, Jeff. Sean, Northwest Side.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, for all the husbands out there that are thinking about getting their wives a nice, sleek electric vehicle that they're going to look sexy in, probably the color white. My wife never fills up her SUV, and I thought about getting her a Tesla, and I just remembered how mad I get when I get into her vehicle and it's never filled with gas. And just imagine if I get into a vehicle with no charge in it. It's useless at that point. And I got to wait 8 hours.
Thanks for the call, Sean.
Well, if you go to a supercharging station, it's about an hour. But your battery's got to be a certain temperature right now.
Can you imagine the confusion out there right now with people that are, have no sort of understanding of basic technology, much less this EV technology? They don't, people who don't understand how things run.
Right, I get
at
that.
all.
I know.
Let me give you an example. Here's sort of a, moment of zen of sort. This has gone viral, much like the story about the Tesla charging station in Oak Brook.
Is this the 2 ladies who can't figure out how to charge a battery?
Yeah, we call them lesbians. Because that's
lady lovers.
Well, they are. I mean, they're a couple.
Lesbians. Yeah.
Yeah, and
they didn't take auto shop in high school.
Well, people are wondering what has Lori Lightfoot and her betrothed been up to since they left office. Well, they've been having some problems.
Whatever you do, don't rub them together because you could catch on fire. Okay. Plus with plus, negative with negative.
Is the black the dark wire?
Oh my gosh.
Baby, I don't know. Plus with plus, negative with negative.
I don't know how to do this.
Plus with plus, negative with negative.
This is negative, right?
I don't know.
Mine's written on there. Yours is not.
You said
that
mine
is
was
a plus.
nice.
This one's plus.
So this has to be negative.
Okay.
Don't get sassy with me, B.
I'm not getting sassy at all.
My nipples are cold.
Then this goes here.
Oh
what does an engine block mean?
I don't know, B.
Oh my god.
I wish I
Pet
knew.
name.
I wish I knew. You just sparked my...
You just told me how did
I did not tell
you. Know
you.
why? Because these are together. I don't know what I just did. I don't want to do this. I'll just call somebody. I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, that smells bad. I don't want to start my car now. Try it again. You're okay. You're all right. I'm sorry for getting sassy. You're okay. You're okay. You're all right. You're okay.
I don't know how to get
You just did
there.
it. You just did it, baby. You got it. It's okay. Good job. It's okay. It's on there.
It's not all the way on there. It's gonna fall off.
Okay.
Is she crying?
Okay.
So this one goes there?
That fell off.
I'm scared.
I know you're scared. Do you want me to do it?
In case you weren't picking up on it, one was not coaching the other through brain surgery. It was to apply jumper cables to jumpstart a car whose battery was dead. But anyway.
And red is positive and black is negative.
Yeah.
So, they didn't get that far, Dan.
This is sort of the median, I think, of what you're dealing with out there. So these are going to continue to be confusing times, I guess is my point. Larry in Elmhurst, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. Hey, every day I take Roberts Road from 111th to Archer Avenue, and there's a charging station on 95th and Roberts Road right next to the Burger King there, and there's always about 10 cars waiting in line. But my point is, wait till these crooks, instead of waiting for somebody to start their car up to rob them, just go over there. They got a whole handful to pick from.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks for the call. Maybe you can put up some tent cities for Tesla owners.
Oh, yeah.
We got them for the homeless. We got them for migrants. I mean, let's just throw Tesla owners into the mix. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We have more on that United Airlines CEO, the transvestite, Scott Kirby. That's at 6:06.
Okay, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Chicago area still bitterly cold. Most schools are reopening today. Illinois providing more funding to support migrants and paying for a botched demolition. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
We're just 6 days away from the next Republican contest. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
And I know that New Hampshire will never let us down, just like in 2016.
Former President Trump last night after his record win in Iowa.
The largest margin of victory in GOP history. Is that good? Is that good?
And he's urging his last two Republican challengers to drop out and unite around him. But as Fox's Gernal Scott reports, they're not ready for that.
Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley took third in Iowa, but in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, she said what will happen next is up to the state's voters.
Don't complain about what happens in a general election if you don't play in this primary.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, second in Iowa, took a detour before New Hampshire to South Carolina, saying in Columbia he's ready to compete.
Here we've got a good footprint.
President Biden will meet with congressional leaders today, trying to work out short-term funding by Friday to avoid a partial government shutdown. Some House Republicans oppose that, demanding spending cuts. The U.S. is expected today to redesignate Houthi militants in Yemen as terrorists, something President Biden undid after taking office. The U.S. has already retaliated against the Iran-backed group's attacks on ships in and around the Red Sea.
The United States is keeping pressure high on the Houthis, and yesterday carried out more strikes against the group in Yemen, targeting 4 anti-ship ballistic missiles that were about to be launched.
Fox's Trey Ying says the war rages in Gaza. Israel and Hamas have worked out a rare deal.
The agreement was brokered by France and Qatar. For every box of medicine provided for Israeli hostages, 1,000 boxes of medicine for Palestinians caught up in the conflict. It's the first time Hamas and Israel have struck any kind of deal since November's week-long pause in the fighting. The medical shipment is now on its way.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Just like Iraq did, Pakistan is recalling its ambassador from Tehran after Iran hit that country with airstrikes targeting militants, killing 2 children. Iran also hit Iraq and Syria with strikes. America's listening to Fox News.
6:02 on AM 560. The Answer, good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 3 above. Wind chills, though, around 10 below this morning. And there will be a wind chill advisory in effect until 9 a.m. Most area schools reopening today for in-class teaching. Some public school districts remain on e-learning. Most private schools and most area colleges are back in class. A suburban teen is on the lam. 2 other teens arrested and charged, all related to a December robbery at a Lifetime Fitness, according to Orland Park Police, who say a warrant for the arrest of 18-year-old Hickory Hills resident Noah Massoud was issued Tuesday after 2 other suburban 19-year-olds were booked. The victim apparently entered a locker room before the 3 suspects followed him in and kicked and punched him in the face, assaulting him numerous times, and then stealing a cell phone. Hadi Abu Atella was one of the 19-year-olds arrested. You may recall he was involved in an altercation with an Oak Lawn police officer who is now facing criminal charges after the arrest of the then 17-year-old on alleged gun charges. Governor Pritzker and the Illinois Department of Human Services will spend an additional $17 million taxpayer dollars on a few cities and towns outside Chicago that may house illegal migrants. Meantime, a group of GOP lawmakers in Springfield have introduced a package of bills connected with the mounting cost. State Representative John Cabello says Illinoisans should not have to pick up the tab for migrant health care.
With the bills mounting on their table, trying to pay for health insurance, yet you come here illegally and you get health insurance? That just doesn't make sense.
Lake Villa police are mourning the loss of a canine officer who the department says died unexpectedly. Canine Atticus was an 8-year-old German Shepherd who served with Lake Villa police since June of 2018. Atticus passed away in his sleep Saturday, January 13. Blackhawks beat San Jose in a shootout 2-1. Bulls getting ready for the Raptors tomorrow, and the Bears have interviewed former Ravens offensive coordinator Greg Roman for their vacant offensive coordinator job. The news, a service of Salem Surround. Go to surroundchicago.com today. And a check of traffic and weather's on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees trouble in Georgia.
So Big Fannie Willis goes after, and she hires Nathan Wade, her lover, to be the special prosecutor on the case. A private sector attorney brought onto the case to assist. Now, according to the complaint, this is all allegedly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's true, Wade has literally never prosecuted a felony before.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's a new year, and that means New Year's resolutions. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and if one of your New Year's resolutions was to do more to help others, then we want to let you know that you still have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of children in Latin America and the Caribbean through Food for the Poor. Your donation of just $80 provides food for an entire year for 2 children. That's life-changing. Just because the Christmas season is over, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. Food for the Poor is a faith-based organization that works with partners on the ground to make sure these children are fed. You know, we talk a lot about the root causes of our immigration crisis, and one of those causes is the situation in many of these countries. This is your chance to help take care of others. To make a donation of any amount, just visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. That's 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. Thanks again for your generosity.
You know, our friends at Henry Repeating Arms, they manufacture a line of very high-quality rifles, shotguns, and revolvers that you can be very proud to own. Now, they're made in America with parts and materials also from America. Now, they use old-world craftsmanship combined with cutting-edge technology to deliver reliable and accuracy that you can trust in any situation. Now, they're easy to use and maintain. It makes them an excellent choice for both a novice and experienced shooter. Henry has over 200 models, so you can find the firearm that's right for you. There's also new releases all throughout the year. and every purchase is backed by their lifetime warranty and the company's owner. Anthony Imperato also gives his personal guarantee for 100% satisfaction. Now, make sure you go to their website, henryusa.com, order their free catalog. They'll send you free decals and a list of dealers where you are. That's henryusa.com. Free catalog, free decals, and a list of dealers where you are. You're going to love this company and these firearms like I do.
Do you know that high blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for mortality? In fact, 1 in 2 adults have high blood pressure. That's a 50-50 chance you're a walking time bomb. But you, not Big Pharma, can take control of your blood pressure before it's too late with my friends at 120 Life. 120 Life is a blend of great-tasting superfruit juices that actually help lower your blood pressure. It's formulated with ingredients that have been shown to naturally control high blood pressure and are endorsed by thousands of health professionals. You can try it for yourself risk-free with their 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use the code NEWYEAR to save 20% and receive free shipping. They are so sure that 120 Life can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks that they'll give you your money back if you're not satisfied. So you have nothing to lose but those high blood pressure numbers. Order now at 120life.com and remember to use coupon code NEWYEAR to save 20%. This is serious. It's your life we're talking about here. So hurry up. The offer ends January 31st.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We'll start on the outbound Kennedy, where a disabled vehicle is showing up outbound right at Randolph this morning. Stevenson on the inbound side, near between Central and Pulaski, report of an accident now on the left-hand shoulder. Delays in Riverdale. Police activity has 131st shut down between Langley and Evans, and buses are being rerouted. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our QC Kinetics Weather Center, here's Steve Williams.
A wind chill advisory for this morning. Clouds and cold. High today 18. Snow tonight 1 to 2 inches. Low 15. Snow tomorrow morning. Little to no accumulation. Otherwise clouds. Very cold day. High tomorrow at 21. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
3 above at O'Hare. 5 above at Midway, where the wind chill is minus 15. 5 above along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're doing planes, trains, and automobiles this morning. Pardon my John Hughes. No, in no particular order. We just did automobiles.
Well, one more note on the automobile, because we got a great text message for those people struggling on how to charge your battery. Red to dead, red to donor, black to donor, black to dead. That's the correct way to jump your car's battery.
Thank you. We'll pass that on to those 2 lesbians who are still stranded trying to figure out how to jump that car.
Okay.
So, hopefully Lori Lightfoot and Amy were able to find shelter while they wait for somebody who can navigate jumper cables to arrive. Okay. We talked yesterday about the transvestite. That's the CEO of United Airlines.
He's happily married. He has 7 children, but he likes to dress up in drag. Yeah.
Right, which is the definition of a transvestite. I mean, it's just, Webster's dictionary definition type stuff, but okay. Hey, if his wife and kids are good with it, I wonder what they know. Anyway. He lives in Chicago, right? Because United Airlines is based here for now.
Yeah, he lives in the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Oh, which, by the way, there was an attempted carjacking and robbery right in front of Pritzker's house in the Gold Coast last night.
It wasn't a transvestite, was it?
No, it was somebody who didn't know how to drive stick shift when they tried to drive away with the Audi, the white Audi, and so they just took the guy's wallet. But literally right smack dab in front of Pritzker's house.
No, I mean, forget the club. Forget the car alarm. There is no better protection for your vehicle than manual transmission.
Yep.
There's no question about that.
I'm serious.
All right, so let's get to updating the story about this Scott Kirby, United Airlines CEO / transvestite. I mean, I'm in no particular order of importance, obviously. So we talked yesterday about his being one of those die-addled Fortune 500 CEOs. An interview he gave to some dink at Axios a couple years ago, where he's talking about we have these goals, die goals for pilots, for C-suite staff representation, and so forth. You know, we've got a whole die office full of people of color to show how enlightened and progressive we are, that we put a bunch of people in an office as our mascots to show.
And they want 50% of their new hires to be either women or minorities.
Yeah, right. Whatever. These arbitrary numbers. It's just the same stuff you've been hearing. And he's 100% committed to it. And now the FAA is borrowing from the industry and also going full DEI, or I guess now we were talking about it yesterday, per United Airlines, again, setting the standard, providing the leadership. It's DEIB, DEIB. There's a new letter in the acronym, and you better get it right.
Oh, belonging.
Belonging. Diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging. They've got a committee at United Airlines, also headed up by a dude pretending to be a woman. I think that dude pretending to be a woman, who's also a pilot, is a full-time dude pretending to be a woman, whereas Scott Kirby is a sometimes dude pretending to be a woman. All right, I hope you got that all straight. Maybe they could include that in the org chart so people know. Well, that's not the only issue on which Scott Kirby is controversial. I mean, I don't want to use language that's too strong for the delicate ears of Chicagoans. There's this pending litigation against United Airlines for the company's treatment of employees, including pilots, during COVID.
Oh.
A legal brief filed just last week, part of a larger lawsuit against the airline, contains internal communications obtained in discovery, which shows the management's effort to coerce religious employees to take the coronavirus vaccine at every turn. The effort was so blatant that one union president, Craig Simmons, expressed to Scott Kirby, that's the transvestite, and others that United was, quote, over the line, unquote, and attempting to institute a, quote, purge of religious orthodoxy, unquote. Here's Scott Kirby doing a little Q&A session during COVID, answering employees' questions with a facilitator, of course.
We do have a couple questions with respect to vaccine. One of them is from Anonymous here. It says, I've been told by management that pilots who get the approval to use the wrap for medical or religious reasons to avoid the COVID vaccine, they would still be on the United seniority list. However, they will stay home and not be paid. Is this really how United plans on handling this very sensitive issue?
I don't think so. I don't know. You bet. That is a question I don't know. Although I don't think that's the case. By the way, there are going to be very few people that get through the medical and religious exemption. There's some pretty strict rules about that. So I would encourage any pilot that's decided they all of a sudden, or any employee that's all of a sudden decided, I'm really religious, and I'm going to say I'm going to get, you're putting your job on the line. You better be very careful about that.
Well, he doesn't think that that's what United Airlines is going to do, but that's what United Airlines did. They granted religious and medical exemptions to 2,300 employees, but those employees weren't allowed to continue their jobs. They were placed on unpaid leave and had their medical benefits stripped. The plaintiffs have now won an injunction and can work again, but United has not backed off their policy. You heard him say, be very careful about requesting such accommodations. Very few people get through the process. Mr. Kirby also allegedly described such employees, you heard him say all of a sudden deciding I'm really religious, putting their jobs on the line, and so on and so forth. So you can get a sense of where he's coming from. I mean, if you didn't already know that he likes to dress up like a woman in his free time, maybe at work too, I have no idea. Here's something else he proposed, in case you're still not convinced about the nature of these sorts of individuals, the Scott Kirbys of the world. And I'm talking about identitarian leftists. Again, according to the suit, Kirby alleged proposing requiring accommodated employees to walk around with special stickers on their badges broadcasting vaccination status. Unsurprisingly, United's lawyer shot this idea down. United acknowledged that Mr. Kirby's idea would create conflict in the workplace. Oh, really?
You think?
In fact, some HR employees were taken aback by Mr. Kirby's proposal, stating that putting stickers on unvaccinated employees' badges is like the scarlet letter. Oh, my goodness, who are we? It's encouraging to know there are some decent people who work at United Airlines. I'm sure it's the majority, like any place else, who were aghast at this, who recognized how heavy-handed this was. Where the scarlet, I mean, we talked about this during COVID. The politicians proposed it, corporate CEOs proposed it internally in the dominions over which they exercise control. It's the scarlet UV, and Scott Kirby was one of them. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. United employees were told that getting vaccinated was about loving your neighbor and your colleague as yourself, according to the lawsuit. Oh, sure. You know, if you don't get vaccinated, you're violating the golden rule, and you call yourself a Christian. That's the next sentence that comes. I got to tell you, I just did, for my Counterculture podcast, a talk with our friend Jeffrey Tucker from the Brownstone Institute, who is one of the essential people during COVID, both in terms of his scholarship and his skepticism. He was the person who actually organized the Great Barrington Declaration after it was co-authored by Gupta and Bhattacharya and Koldorf. He organized getting those thousands, it turned into tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of signatures. And it's just so refreshing to go back and document everything, both for the sort of the Truth Commission aspect of it, as well as for going forward. What are these places of business like United? What are these places of residence like Chicago going to look like? What's the sort of long-running impact? This guy, Scott Kirby, I'm sure he doesn't think he is because they never do. What a terrible person he is. And the dressing up like a woman is the least offensive part of it. The least ridiculous aspect of it. His statements on Dye and his treatment of his own employees. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about sentimental barbarians. And yes, they can be heads of Fortune 500 companies. They're not just, mousy little academics squirreled away in ivory towers around the country that don't do harm. They're people who have control, significant control over the lives of tens of thousands of employees, like Scott Kirby at United Airlines. It's just incredible. Craig in Mount Greenwood, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan, and thank you much for taking my call. Hey, that's like a badge of honor now to have a badge on that says that I wasn't unvaxxed. There's all kinds of women that want to have a normal pregnancy. They want to have problems. They want to have a healthy child. They want to be with the guy that is unvaxxed and everything like that. And you can't believe all the people that are vaxxed around my job and everything like that, because I'm one of them guys that had the exemption, okay? It's religious. But here's the thing. These guys all the time, man, you're lucky you didn't get them shots and everything like that. And the whole thing is it's all turning around and people are realizing all those lies. Just like the EV thing where there's a coal burning cars. You got to run coal-fired power plants to charge those things up, burning tons of fossil fuel, dirty fossil fuel, coal to take and operate those EVs. I mean, it's all lies from these people.
Thanks for the call, Craig. Well, here's a look into the future of commercial flight under the leadership of people like Scott Kirby.
This is great.
Welcome aboard, folks. We are very proud to share that your pilot is the most diverse pilot on record. She is a 3'2" transgender pansexual Native American man who identifies as a 6'tall Korean woman. Any volunteers to help reach the controls are welcome. You will want to buckle up as her epilepsy is often triggered by the flashing lights in the cockpit. Remember to keep a whisper volume level, as she may have to consult instructional videos as a refresher during the flight. Now, can we get a big cheer for diversity?
Yeah.
The door ripped off, too.
Yeah, you needed the automatic
flew out.
pilot from Airplane there on that flight. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the epilepsy and stuff, it's not making fun of people with epilepsy. We talked about this yesterday. FAA, you know, part of the diversity orthodoxy is to include in their hiring considerations people that have intellectual, physical, psychological disabilities. I mean, you know, there are just commonsensical limits to whatever people suffer from in terms of some of the things they can and can't do. I mean, just realistic. It's not ostracizing anybody. It's not ridiculing anybody. It's just recognizing limitations, for goodness sakes. But that's out the window. And so might you be with the FAA and these diversity Idians. I'm going to have to work on that one. Anyway, yeah, so this is what has been proposed. And again, with respect to just focusing on diversity in hiring, well, somebody mentioned yesterday when we were talking about this that that pilot for that German Wings, the pilot on that German Wings flight who had suicidal ideations, who was not cleared to work by his doctor, and he killed 160 people by turning that flight into a kamikaze mission. And of course,
what are we doing here? Come on.
Well, and of course, in San Francisco, you know, a bunch of diversity hires in the cockpit, and then, you know, this happened.
We have new information now also on the plane crash. KTVU has just learned the names of the 4 pilots who were on board the flight. They are Captain Sum Ting Wong, Wee Tu Lo, Ho Lee Fook, and Bang Ding Ao. The NTSB has confirmed these are the names of the pilots on board Flight 214 when it crashed. We are working to determine exactly what roles each of them played during the landing.
You know how that happened, right? Because they got those names faxed in by a jokester and an intern, because it was on the weekends when there's not a lot of bosses or editors around, grabbed it, you know, hot off the press. I have the names of the 4 pilots, and just hands it to the anchor.
Yeah, I think it turned out that Holy Fook was primarily responsible for that crash. Also, a diversity hire, that news anchor. Tim in Woodstock, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, good morning, Dan and Amy. I have a son who flies for United, so I am really concerned about the direction they're going with all
You
this
should be.
nonsense, and and who he'll be in the cockpit with in the future. But I love how
Or the men's room.
Religious language. Yeah, right. I love how United uses religious language to compel people to get the vaccine. They talk about loving your neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to do that. They love to use the love word to cover all kinds of things they want to compel people to do. But you know, when did they become so religious that they could use that? But I can't oppose, or my son couldn't oppose taking the vaccine because aborted cells were used to develop the vaccine. You know, that's not good enough for this CEO. And when did he become the arbiter of who's religious enough? That's what really bothers me. Is like, you're going to... So the CEO, he's going to be the arbiter of who's religious enough to get a religious exemption. You know, I just don't like the direction they're going.
Thanks for the call, Tim. Good luck to your son at United and everybody else there under this guy. So we got our automobiles, we got our planes. What about our trains? You're a regular visitor to Phoenix, Amy.
Yes, and I love their new train system that they have. You get off the plane and you go straight on that train right to the car rental place. Brilliant.
It is. And
I mean, I love it.
There's another great feature there. On that train system, they have a no pants light rail day. Have you done that, where you don't wear pants?
I didn't know that they had that. What, excuse me?
Yeah. The city of Phoenix.
It's like the new bike ride in Chicago?
Basically. No pants light rail day. And they've, I saw Matt Walsh tweeting it out. They've got pictures of everybody in their underwear on the light rail system there in Phoenix.
Oh, okay.
And it's nice because, parents take their kids because they don't need to use the train.
Yeah.
And, you got some guy with pasties on and a ball gag in his mouth wearing no pants standing next to him.
Oh, I'm going to have to look that up. That's Matt Walsh.
Yeah. So it sounded like fun until the BDSM crowd got involved, huh? City elders of Phoenix? I mean, if you don't believe that politics destroys everything, especially identity politics, planes, trains, and automobiles, you would think uncontroversial, ecumenical, and yet here we are talking about you basically need a dedicated rideshare driver. You need Jamie Foxx from Collateral to drive you around everywhere and also be sort of your personal escort bodyguard in order to get around in big city America these days. Or two big cities in America these days when you're talking about flight. Remarkable stuff. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Cooler weather is here. Is your vehicle ready for the winter? Remke's Garage, your diesel engine and transmission specialist, can inspect your vehicle so you won't end up on the side of the road. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. The shop at Remke's Garage is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. When was the last time you changed your filters, checked your batteries, inspected your tires, belts and hoses, or flushed your coolant? Be prepared. Bring your Mercedes Sprinter, Ford Power Stroke, Dodge Cummins, Chevy Duramax, or Isuzu diesel truck to Remke's Garage and have your tires inspected as well. Ask about the Fleetworthy commercial-grade Toyo Celsius Cargo all-weather tire. The premier tire to accommodate the rainy, icy, snowy, and cold weather we encounter here in the Chicagoland area. Don't get stuck. Remke's Garage is your diesel and Toyo tire headquarters. Visit remkesgarage.com, that's REMKES garage.com, and schedule your inspection today.
Long day. Time to charge up.
Hey, just like my delivery truck.
Even kids know to keep business moving forward, it's time to make the switch to electric vehicles. Whether you have one van or a whole fleet of trucks, resources are available to help you make the changes that make sense.
Let's go!
Beep, beep.
Go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
My son was saying, Mom, why are you paying so much for this? The supplement store has the exact same thing. And I said, no, they don't. Because he was telling me that they have similar products as Balance of Nature. But then when he came over to my house and he looked at the label of the Balance of Nature about all the, ingredients and everything, he realized, oh, yeah, this is a superior product.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Lots of channels, nothing to watch, especially if you're looking outside of big corporate control. It's time to interrupt your regularly scheduled programs with something worth watching. The new Salem News Channel. Straightforward, unfiltered, in-depth insight and analysis from the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. SNC is home to Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Watch anytime on any screen. Free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, those poor kids on that train. Oh, my gosh.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh.
Yes, you better make sure if you take the train from the airport from Phoenix, it is not on no pants day on their light rail system.
Oh, that's some scary stuff. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, the Catholic Church in Chicagoland is led by a bunch of Plinos, pro-lifers in name only. 6:36.
And what kind of news channel doesn't take live news? We'll explain. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Amy and Dan, 631, 4 above in Chicago with a wind chill of 12 below. The race for the Republican presidential nomination moving on to New Hampshire, where Fox's Brooke Singman tells us the latest in the race for the top of the GOP ticket is on the move.
Trump, DeSantis, and Haley are all hitting the ground running in New Hampshire. So Governor DeSantis will attend 2 town halls, one in Hampton and another in Derry. Nikki Haley will hold a rally for her supporters in Rochester, and former President Trump will speak with voters in Portsmouth after hosting a rally of his own last night with now former candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. And new polling shows the former president neck and neck with Nikki Haley in the Granite State, with both of them receiving 40% of support from likely Republican voters. Meanwhile, DeSantis is in a very distant third place with just 4% of the vote.
That's Fox's Brooke Singman, who is on the ground in New Hampshire following the candidates there. Madison is en route after Qatar and France mediated a deal between Israel and Hamas to supply both the hostages held by Hamas terrorists and Gaza residents. It comes after more than 100 days of conflict. The Thai government is reporting this morning disaster relief is on the way after an explosion at a fireworks factory in central Thailand has killed at least 20. Boeing stock is taking a hit after a Wall Street report that said an FAA audit of the aircraft company may open up a, quote, can of worms, end quote. Earlier this month, the door blew off an Alaska Airlines flight on a Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircraft. Northern Illinois remains in the grips of a wind chill advisory until 9 a.m. Much-loved venue in Oak Brook Terrace was damaged in a fire Tuesday afternoon. Fire broke out around 12:15 at the Drury Lane Theater. Governor Pritzker and the Illinois Department of Human Services will spend an additional $17 million in taxpayer dollars for a few cities and towns outside of the Chicago area that are housing illegal migrants. State Senator Dave Severson says Illinois is one of only 2 states providing for migrant health care.
And this legislation is one of those that sends a message that Illinois is not the sanctuary state to come to for free health care.
Mallory Swanson of the Chicago Red Stars will soon be the highest paid player in the National Women's Soccer League. Swanson is the wife of Cubs infielder Dansby Swanson. Blackhawks beat San Jose in a shootout 2-1. Bulls getting ready for the Raptors tomorrow. The Bears interview Greg Roman for their vacant offensive coordinator position. 6:35 and a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains basic economics.
See, what you do when you raise the minimum wage is something else. Not only do you put people out of work, but you put businesses out of business, small businesses especially, and you reduce the ability of people to start working in their lives because they're overpriced.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
For over 100 years, St. Andrew's Lutheran School in the heart of Park Ridge has been dedicated to education excellence, spiritual growth, and service to the community. Parents continue to express their gratitude to the school for all it has to offer their children.
My second child just graduated from St. Andrew's Lutheran School in Park Ridge. Not only did both place into advanced classes in high school, but St. Andrew's teachers have enabled me to achieve my most important goal as a parent, to be confident that they know their Savior and that they'll be with me in heaven someday.
From kindergarten kindergarten through 8th grade, your child will learn in a Christ-centered, individualized, nurturing environment. Take a tour, visit with faculty, and register for the upcoming school year on Sunday, January 28th from noon to 2. For details, visit St. Andrew's Lutheran School in Park Ridge online at standrewspr.org. Provide your child with the gift of a Christ-centered St. Andrews education. Find out more today at standrewspr.org.
My son was saying, Mom, why are you paying so much for this? The supplement store has the exact same thing. And I said, no, they don't. You know, because he was telling me that they have similar products as Balance of Nature. But then when he came over to my house and he looked at the label of the Balance of Nature about all the, ingredients and everything, he realized, oh yeah, this is a superior product.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
8. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay, benefits? Join the growing team at Progressive Insurance. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. Kennedy inbound 19 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike in 33 and climbing right now from 390 into the old post office. Dan Ryan inbound jams up with stop-and-go traffic, 87th up through 67th. The Bishop Ford, heavy and slow between the Stoning Island feeder and the Ryan merge. Far south side, major structure fire has Calumet Avenue just south of the Skyway shut down both north and southbound. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our QC Kinetics Weather Center, cloudy, cold, high of 18 today. Currently 4 above at O'Hare, 6 above at Midway, 4 above in Aurora, and 5 above along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I understand why Catholics who take their faith seriously stop going to church in some of these dioceses, certainly in Illinois, because they hear priests sermonize about courage and about living in truth, the truth, not your truth, the truth. And to secularize it, being willing to stand athwart the world for those things that are true. So that's what's featured, concepts, the cardinal virtues, fortitude, particularly in the face of Satan's armies. That's what you hear from the altar, from the dais. And then this is what you see from those preaching the word. Multiple Illinois bishops are forbidding parishes from hosting drives to sign a petition for a state ballot advisory question aimed at legally requiring parental consent for medical interventions such as abortion and sex changes for minors. Along with prohibiting Catholic Church-based drives for the petition, the dioceses of Rockford and Joliet have instructed pastors not to send out mass emails to parishioners about the petition or the group promoting it, the Parents Matter Coalition. This is the initiative of Jeannie Ives and others. We've had, Mary Kay from Western Springs, other callers call in who are circulating the petitions right now. Here's the advisory question that so frightens Cardinal Supich and Bishop Hicks in Joliet, who's just sort of a generally a gelding when it comes to anything that is consistent with church teaching as expressed in the secular world. School choice, pro-life, the prohibition of mutilating children. I don't know. The question on the ballot, or the question that would be on the ballot if they get enough signatures to have it placed on the ballot in November. Quote, shall the written consent from a minor's parents or guardian be required before any entity, person, clinic, or school can provide a minor any non-emergency medical procedure, medication, pharmaceutical, or any gender modification procedure, gender identification counseling, or gender therapy? That's it. Written consent from a minor's parent or guardian before any other adult can provide medical procedures, medication, gender identity counseling, therapy, or, another medical procedure, surgery, obviously. Right. And as is often said, you need parental permission for your kid to get an aspirin from the school nurse, but not for any of this stuff.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also reach us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
So, we had this call on Friday, I think it was, during our Open Mic Friday. But, what's going on in Illinois? Is there any movement at the grassroots level, anything, any activity? Or has anybody with any sense just completely thrown up their hands and you're just conceding to be subjugated to Governor Pritzker and these Democrat socialists from top to bottom of the state? So, well, there's this, you have to do things. What's the Republican Party doing? Not much. What's the conservative grassroots doing? Well, they're doing this petition drive to allow people to make some sort of expression of their view on these critical issues that we're seeing playing out at the K through 12 level in particular. And the Catholic Church won't back that play. The Catholic Church won't support a policy in the secular world consistent with the teaching of Catholicism, consistent with the Catechism. People find that curious? But the point here is that when the cultural and religious institutions all fold into the state, which is what's happened, what are you left with? Well, you're left prey to those forces that have folded in together, backed by police power. And you may want to take some real stock of that. The other thing is, if you don't regain control of institutions to which you affiliate, then why would you expect anybody else to do likewise? Do you think somebody's going to do the work for you and you can be a free rider? You go to a parish in a diocese that has taken this position and you say what? I'm talking specifically just this narrow cohort, Catholics. And I'm not talking about the social justice Catholics who, who a la carte their catechism. I'm talking about people who take it seriously.
You
go to your parish, you go to Mass on Sunday, and you listen to the priest sermonize about this and that, the sort of values that are supposed to inform our life and how we're supposed to live those values. You're supposed to emulate the example of Christ, and then the bishop of the diocese says you can't circulate a petition. We won't promote a petition that is not political. It's policy. It's not partisan. It's not Republican, Democrat. And even if it was, which it isn't, I mean, you see what happens in other churches in the city where politicians routinely are invited to speak from the pulpit about things that are partisan and overtly political and oftentimes not even policy related. But the Catholic Church doesn't have the courage to. And then you wonder why. Supich is doing the same thing. These are, as I said in the tease, these are Pinos that are the heads of these dioceses. Pro-lifers in name only. Finos, pro-familyers in name only. It's easy to take the rhetorical position. Just like it's easy to say the Our Father, and then you go out and you do what? Well, what's the example? I mean, again, these men, Cardinal Supich and Bishop Hicks, they are not the faith. They're just flawed men. Just like I'm a flawed man. But so I don't disavow Catholicism because of the bastardization of it and the cowardice of these men. But let's recognize what we're dealing with. And the corruption from within in these institutions. They are doing what rhinos do, to offer a political, political metaphor. They are destroying the institution from within. Republicans in name only that really just want to be junior partners to the Democrats. They destroy the party from within. That's what you've seen happen to the Republican Party in Illinois. Well, the same thing is happening in the church, the Catholic Church at least, and I could argue other churches, but let me just focus on mine, since this is in the news and because this is where leadership should be coming, not barriers being erected by these individuals. I mean, yeah, when has enough? When do people revolt? I don't know. Revolt against what? People won't revolt against the things they say they hold the most dear. I'm not interested in politics. Okay, fine. I'm focused on my faith life. Great. What's happening in your faith institution? What's happening in your faith-based school? And now the very church itself.
Text message, Dan and Amy. The last few times I've been to my Catholic church where I raised my kids and sent them to school, the priest preaches to us about helping the illegals. He uses the Bible to skew his sermon. His accent is so thick, most of us can't understand most of what he's saying. That's why I'm switching to St. Ben's.
Yeah.
Politics have no business in church. Absolutely none. We go to church to worship. That's it.
Right. This isn't politics. This is policy. This is policy consistent with the faith. And you're not supposed to limit your Catholicism to Sunday Mass, are you? I don't think so. Mm-mm. That's not what I learned. So
learn with you during the week.
So now, how do you explain it? Cardinal Supich is all in for going to full renewable energy by 2025 or whatever the hell he's talking about. He has no idea. Who the hell is he? He's an engineer now. He's a climatologist. He's a labor economist. He's all these things. He's just not a faith leader. Bishop Hicks and Joliet. And this LifeSite news article too is talks to not people. Oh, this is just classic. This is classic. The decision of the Illinois bishops, shared by LifeSite News by a third-year veteran Illinois pro-lifer. The reason for the decision related to the pro-lifer was the bishops, they want to focus on assisted suicide legislation that may potentially arise in Illinois. Right, sure you do. I mean, that is such a pathetic, transparent cop-out. You're lying. You're lying, and everyone knows it. First of all, you can't stop anything in Springfield, and you rarely ever try. That's number one. So whatever these Marxists, rapacious Marxists want to do in Springfield, they're going to do, and they're going to shove it down your throat because you're on your knees anyway. Might as well, since you're in position. And number two, even if you wanted to take up a fight on other issues, you can't do two things simultaneously. They're not even asking you to take up the fight. They just say, stay out of our way and let us communicate to parishioners in your diocese, in your parish, about this opportunity, about this issue, and the chance to make a statement about the policy choices that have been made in this state. No. We're going to stand in your way. Kevin in Evanston, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning, Dan and Amy. Love you guys. Dan, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, but before that, give me a chance. Totally on board with the need for this kind of ballot question, this kind of petition. I too, am sick and tired of our Catholic leadership, starting with the Pope, Cardinal Cupich, you name it. They, when it comes to these kinds of issues, they are absolutely on the wrong side of Jesus' teaching. But I will say this: there's, back in the scandal around 2000, the child abuse scandal in the church, I had to make a decision. I stayed in the church because I said, wait a second, this isn't about the guy talking at the pulpit. This is about the guy up on the cross. That's why Catholics need to keep going to church.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
well, that's why in Chicago I go to Kansas. I mean, so there are exceptions, but I'm talking about Bishop Hicks in Joliet. I'm talking about Bishop Malloy in Rockford. I'm talking about Cardinal Cupich. I'm talking about the leadership. I'm talking about these specific dioceses, and I'm talking about what Catholics should do. Otherwise, what is the point of continuing to go to this specific parish you're going to if you're going to participate with Malloy and Hicks and Cupich?
I agree. I get it, but here's my point. There have been bad leaders throughout 2,000 years of the Catholic Church, and there have been good ones. We're going through a lousy time. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You got to stay in church and fight.
I agree. Thanks for the call. Well, that's essentially thanks for the call, Kevin. That's essentially the call I'm making. I'm not saying leave the church altogether. Certainly not leave the faith. But either fight within your parish and call your pastor on the carpet about this, particularly if you're in Joliet or Rockford or the Arch, or find some place that you have allies and that you can work together with official sanction or not in support of this ballot initiative and every other matter of importance, as opposed to just sitting quietly in the pew and rolling your eyes or shrugging your shoulders.
And if you hear a sermon that's political, confront your pastor and say, there's another side to this story. That's what I engage in. Text message, Dan, the Catholic Church has been overthrown by evil. Like the government, they need a complete revolution back to biblical teachings.
Since her name was invoked, Mary Kay, Western Springs.
Hi, I just want to give some advice to people of what I've been doing. I study the catechism online. You find a priest, and you can spend 20 minutes a day and just do it daily. Find one that you like and listen to it. If you don't have time during the week, catch up on Sunday. And listen, I find that way more of a learning, teaching experience than actually going to Mass. I go to Mass when I want to be there. I like being in the building. I like Amy, I know you like the social aspect of your church. So I do it on my terms, not on theirs as far as walking in the building. Secondly, the petition is here on my lap right here. I want people to reach out to me on Twitter because I'm not a big Twitter lady, but you can find me there at MKAYROSS. That's all they need, right, is my Twitter handle, right?
Mm-hmm. Say it one more time.
Reach out to me at the letter M, the letter KAYROSS. And I'll find your stuff, and I'll let you know when we're having meetings to get this thing distributed. I mean, I thought we'd get 1,000 signatures. I think we could get 5,000 signatures if we get people moving, soon.
Thanks for the call, Mary Kay. Appreciate it. And you got Breakthrough Ideas, too. Jeannie Ives' website has all the information. Illinois Family Institute has all the information. So there are partners here. And one other thing on this, too. All this, phony, genteel business. I mean, I'm all for being respectful to men of the cloth, but to a point. All of this, your excellency business, your grace business, between their eyes, deliver the message. To their face, between their eyes, stand up and be counted. They sat idly by and did nothing as scholarships were ripped away from thousands of families, the less fortunate that we're supposed to be the guardians of as good Catholics. Child mutilation, abortion on demand for minors, and they're willing to stand idly by again.
And their tax dollars are going to pay for abortions, too.
How much disgrace can you handle from their grace? Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Frank Vance, co-owner of Egan Vance Insurance Agency on Chicago's Northwest Side and a customer of Signature Bank. In my line of work, we pride ourselves on being there for our clients when they need it the most, and we recognize when someone does the same for us. As Egan Vance was expanding, we wanted to buy a much sought-after building in the neighborhood. We couldn't waste any time. I called Signature Bank, and that was all it took. I didn't have to talk to multiple people in siloed departments with multiple forms to fill out. One call did it all. As the one who was always looking out for my clients, it was a great change to know that my bank, Signature Bank, was looking out for me.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, I've got some good news for you. Looks like there'll be no more Republican presidential debates. We'll start there with David Drucker, 7:07.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Most schools are reopening today. Illinois providing more funding to support migrants. Hilco is paying $12 million for a botched demolition. Illinois approves rules for a banned gun registry enforcement. The Blackhawks beat the Sharks in a shootout last night. Bulls preparing for the Raptors. The Bears interviewing Greg Roman for the offensive coordinator job. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
They're all in New Hampshire today. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The three Republicans left in the White House race, but former President Trump, after his record win in Iowa, says
it's time for the Republican Party, however, to unify, come together, and move forward as one team.
But Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis are far from ready to drop out.
We've got all of these issues around the country and around the world, and what are Biden and Trump both focused on? Investigations, past issues.
I represent the fulfillment. Honestly, a lot of what Donald Trump promised to do, but didn't deliver.
The New Hampshire primary is in 6 days. President Biden will gather with congressional leaders from both parties this afternoon, and Fox's Peter Ducey reports from the White House.
They are trying to figure out how to fund Ukraine and Israel and the border, but it's going to require President Biden moving at least a little bit off his request, which at the moment is $61.4 billion for Ukraine, way more than the $14.3 billion for Israel, $13.6 billion for some border provisions.
They also need to work out short-term funding by Friday to avoid a partial government shutdown. Some House Republicans may vote no, demanding spending cuts. The U.S. is ready to label the Iran-backed Houthi militants in Yemen terrorists, a designation President Biden undid when he took office. This after all the Houthi attacks on ships in and around the Red Sea. The U.S. launched another attack targeting the Houthis yesterday.
After the Houthi ballistic missiles presented a, quote, imminent threat to both merchant and U.S. Navy ships in the region. The Houthis have launched 5 attacks on commercial ships in as many days, with the military spokesman vowing even more. But National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says the Houthis' capabilities to attack must be degraded.
That's Fox's Griff Jenkins. Israel and Hamas have worked out an agreement allowing medicine to be sent into Gaza for the Israeli and Americans still held hostage. And for each box sent to them, 1,000 boxes of medicine are also being shipped over to Palestinian civilians. America's listening to Fox News.
4 degrees above at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Northern Illinois remains in the grips of some bitter cold, a wind chill advisory in effect until 9 a.m. A much-loved venue in Oak Brook Terrace damaged in a fire Tuesday afternoon. Firefighters were called out to the Drury Lane Theater around 12:15, found a mechanical room fully engulfed on the second floor. A suburban teen is on the lam after 2 other teens were arrested and charged in relation to a December robbery at the Lifetime Fitness. Orland Park police say a warrant for the arrest of an 18-year-old Hickory Hills resident, Noah Massoud, was issued Tuesday after 2 other suburban 19-year-olds talked with police. A lawsuit has been filed against President Joe Biden's candidacy for the Illinois primary ballot by Terry Newsom and other Illinois voters.
You know, he left $75 billion military equipment and weaponry in Afghanistan for the Taliban, who is our enemy. They're using some of the weapons that Biden left behind.
Beth Finley Smith is an Illinois voter and LaSalle County District 4 board member and is spearheading the legal challenge to remove Joe Biden from the Illinois primary ballot.
Provisions of the election code are designed to protect the integrity of the electoral process.
The crux of Smith's objection lies in the notarization of Biden's statement of candidacy. It was notarized by a notary commissioned in the District of Columbia instead of an Illinois official as mandated by state law and upheld by the courts. Chicago sports, Blackhawks beat San Jose 2-1 in a shootout at the UC. Hawks visit snowbound Buffalo next, while the Bulls are getting ready for the Raptors tonight. Last night in college hoops, Northern Illinois lost to Kent State. Tonight, DePaul hosts Providence. The news, a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum wants you to know what they're afraid of.
Gas prices were down. Unemployment for Black, Hispanic, women, historic lows. Things were headed in the right direction. People were satisfied, happy with the trajectory of the country when Donald Trump was in office. So what is the fear? It's made up. It's a lie.
The Officer Tatum Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, a lot of you know that I learned how to use a firearm when I was 11 years old. I've been practicing my entire life, and people ask me all the time, Hannity, what kind of gun should I get? Well, now I'm telling them, go to Henry Repeating Arms. And I always tell them to start just by going to their website, henryusa.com. You're going to get a free catalog. Now, Henry has over 200 models of rifles and shotguns to choose from. They're made with the finest craftsmanship I've ever seen, and you don't beat their performance. Every one I have was accurate right out of the box and reliable ever since. Their company motto is made in America or not made at all. They have a lifetime warranty, family-owned business, and these folks are true patriots who give back to our military, our vets, our first responders, sick kids, you name it. They support gun safety, and they support our Second Amendment. So if you're in the market for a high-quality, American-made firearm, just go to henryusa.com. You get their free catalog, list of dealers, and free decals, henryusa.com. You'll love this company.
The Fed is setting a digital dollar control trap. The new FedNow system might sound modern and convenient, but the truth is it's all about surveillance and control. Don't be fooled. Secure your assets right now with something Washington cannot manipulate. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon, former advisor to Donald Trump. And in these times of uncertainty, I believe the best way to defend your savings is to use tangible assets. which is why I recommend a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group, because gold has a 5,000-year track record as the ultimate guardian of wealth. To find out more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold Group by texting the word SAFEGUARD to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, so text SAFEGUARD to the number 989898. That's SAFEGUARD to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs. There's no obligation or purchase required.
Message and data rates may apply.
Well, I've been taking it for some time. We saw the ad, and we thought we would give it a try. And I noticed after the first month, we just felt better. I told my doctor, too, and she said, this sounds like a really good product for you to be taking. We plan to take it for life.
I ran this by my doctor. I always run it by her, everything I take, and I told her I've been taking this for a while. Is this okay to take? She goes, oh, this is wonderful for you to take. Keep taking it. She goes, I approve this. This is very good. So she said, yes. She said, this is one thing you can take that's very good. I'm not going to stop taking out into nature.
Step into the new year with a new you. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code Chicago.
It's 7:07. A check of the roads in the Team Hawkbird Traffic Center. Barrington Hills, an accident. Algonquin and Bateman, South Side, Calumet Avenue shut down due to a fire in a home just south of the Skyway. Metro Milwaukee District North Line service suspended. Inbound and outbound trains stop near Union Station. It's all due to an Amtrak signal problem. Jane Addams, we have an accident on the exit ramp on eastbound I-90. The ramp to Randall Road. Tri-State has a disabled vehicle. Left center lane blocked northbound at Ogden, and an accident northbound at Balmoral. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our QC Kinetics Weather Center, here is Steve Williams.
A wind chill advisory for this morning. It'll be a cloudy, cold day, high 18. Some snow tonight, 1 to 2 inches, low 15. A bit of snow tomorrow morning. Little or no accumulation, otherwise clouds and cold, the high 21. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
4 above at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. This Michael Moore riff is making the rounds again. This is way back from 2016, but since there's been a lot of sound and fury signifying not much change in underlying condition for so many Americans, thus where Biden finds his approval numbers, thus where people feel about their economic security, thus where people feel about their national security, the combination of the border and foreign entanglements. It's just interesting. I mean, Michael Moore understood Trump's appeal without, of course, supporting Trump.
Right.
Because he's a socialist. But nonetheless, and he smells.
Well, no, I had to work with him at WJBK in
I'm sorry to hear
Detroit,
that.
And every time he came in, I'm like, you don't only look like you smell, you actually smell.
Interesting. I hope to never be that close to Michael
Okay,
Moore.
good.
Well, just recall some of what he had to say and see if this doesn't ring as true today as it did for so many in 2016. Thus, his prediction Trump would win.
In Michigan that are planning to vote for Trump, and they don't necessarily like him that much, and they don't necessarily agree with him. they're not racist and rednecks, they're actually pretty decent people. And so I wanted to sort of, after talking to a number of them, I wanted to write this. And Donald Trump came to the Detroit Economic Club and stood there in front of the Ford Motor executives and said, if you close these factories as you're planning to do in Detroit and build them in Mexico, I'm going to put a 35% tariff on those cars when you send them back, and nobody's going to buy them. It was an amazing thing to see. No politician, Republican or Democrat, had ever said anything like that to these executives. And it was music to the ears of people in Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, the Brexit states. You live here in Ohio, you know what I'm talking about. Whether Trump means it or not is kind of irrelevant because he's saying the things to people who are hurting. And it's why every beaten down, nameless, forgotten working stiff who used to be part of what was called the middle class loves Trump. He is the human Molotov cocktail that they've been waiting for. The human hand grenade that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them. And on November 8th, Election Day, although they lost their jobs, although they've been foreclosed on by the bank, next came the divorce, and now the wife and kids are gone. The car's been repoed. They haven't had a real vacation in years. They're stuck with the Obamacare bronze plan where you can't even get a f***ing Percocet. They've essentially lost everything they had except one thing. The one thing that doesn't cost them a cent and is guaranteed to them by the American Constitution, the right to vote.
And now that the pandemic cash that was printed and sloshing around over the last 3 years is dissipating, people find, and of course the attendant inflation over the last couple of years in particular, seems to me a lot of people are back in that same place they were in 2016, feeling the same thing. For more on this, post-Iowa, pre-New Hampshire, pleased to be joined by David Drucker, senior writer for The Dispatch, author of In Trump's Shadow, The Battle for 2024 and the Future of the GOP. David Drucker, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Good to be here.
So Trump living up to expectations in Iowa. And now, good news, bad news, I think, sort of. I'm a proponent of debates. But doesn't look like we're going to have any more Republican debates based on Nikki Haley's announcement that she won't debate DeSantis without Trump. So where do you see the race going on next week and then on to South Carolina?
Well, look, I mean, the race in New Hampshire it's somewhat interesting in that it's theoretically competitive for first, not second. In Iowa, first was a foregone conclusion. And I found myself in the odd position of covering a race for second.
Right.
And so we'll see if, over the next, 6 days now, Nikki Haley can make up anywhere from 7 to 15 points, depending on what poll we're looking at. Polling averages probably have it about 12, 13, something like that, maybe 14. It's striking distance, but it's a tough climb. And, that's because Trump's appeal with the base of the party is just unmatched. And because the party is a lot different than it was 8 years ago, when it still included a lot of, what we like to think of as the sort of Reagan-era Republican regulars, the suburban conservatives and people who cared about fiscal policy and national security policy, but weren't all that interested in conservative social policy. A lot of them are either independent or have started voting for Democrats, so there may not be as much of a well to draw on. But in New Hampshire,
they weren't very conservative if they started voting for Democrats. I got to say that whole business. I mean, please.
Well, they may not be conservative the way some people look at it, but they were reliable Republican voters based on fiscal issues and national security issues, and a majority winning coalition gets people like that one way or the other, the kind that either Democrats say, well, you're not all that liberal, or Republicans say you're not all that conservative. I mean, that's the way you win a majority. And that's part of the secret sauce, usually, that helps one or the other party win. Now, by the way, in 2016, guys, Trump beat Hillary in part because he held on to just enough of the suburban vote. So he was able to bring in all those new voters, the kind that Michael Moore was talking about, that hold on to enough of the sort of Reagan-era regulars. In 2020, one of the reasons he lost is he did not hold on to enough of those old-time Republican voters. In New Hampshire, it's an open primary, so independents can vote, Democrats can vote if they want, and there really is no Democratic primary because of how the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, changed the rules. And so we'll see if Haley's able to capitalize on that. It's an uphill climb, but we'll see.
But who do you think all the independents, because there are Democrats that are going to vote, and they claimed before that they were going to vote for Chris Christie. Now, the Chris Christie supporters, do you think they'll go toward Haley?
Well, I think that if they vote, most of them will, but not all of them. And Haley has to draw. I'm not a poker player, so I feel like I keep messing this analogy up. It's like she's got to, draw an inside straight or get the bet.
Yeah, that's
draw
right.
a hand.
Yes,
right?
inside straight is the proper. Yes.
Dan knows.
Okay, so it's doable, and if she's a good card player, maybe it's doable. It's just that it's not going to be easy, and it'll be interesting to see how she approaches this week. I actually think tactically, and I may be in the minority here from what I've been reading on social media, that she was smart to refuse to debate unless Trump participated, because I don't think it does her any good anymore to be on the stage alone with DeSantis, given her position in New Hampshire, which is at least within striking distance, where she'd have to either ignore every attack from him all night and focus on Trump, but then risk looking like she wasn't fighting the guy next to her. And I just don't see what that would. In Iowa, it was something I felt she definitely needed to do, but I don't see what it gets her in New Hampshire.
Well, right, I agree, which of course makes all of her criticism about Trump not participating in the debates in Iowa a bit hypocritical. It's just these were my interests at the time. Now I have new interests, but there's no principle.
That's what candidates do all the
time. Well, I understand, but I'm just pointing out there's no principle at stake because all of this, high-minded.
It's never any principle at stake.
Well, okay. Well, maybe for some.
Strategy-wise, I'm not talking about issues.
Yeah, I understand. But so speaking of the person that she won't debate without Trump, I mean I like Ron DeSantis, but I don't see the play for him here. Not only skipping New Hampshire, and sort of trying to reconstitute his troops in South Carolina. Not only is that not any real indication that he has any sort of significant base on which to build in South Carolina. He's going to be out of the conversation for the better part of a month after New Hampshire until you get to South Carolina. Can he even survive that long?
I don't know that he can survive that long. I know, my sources tell me that the money to compete in New Hampshire via Never Back Down, his super PAC, which runs the ground game and does all of the campaign events, so they're officially Never Back Down events, but they're his campaign events. That the money was already paid for. The money was spent, the flights were booked, the hotels were booked, the people were paid, and so he can do this for a week. He's at 5% in New Hampshire. I mean, he just is nowhere near doing anything about anything. And again, Trump is very strong in South Carolina and Nevada, and there's no such thing as getting to Super Tuesday, okay? In a national primary, which it's a quasi-national primary, the guy with the most support by far and plenty of money, and he's practically an incumbent, is going to run circles around everybody. The only way you stop that from happening is by knocking him off in one of the 4 early states, but not just one, probably 2. And then all of a sudden it's a race. If he's not beaten in New Hampshire by Nikki Haley, who's the only candidate positioned to beat him in New Hampshire, it's over. She's not going to roll into her home state and beat Trump. He's extremely strong there. He has the grassroots. He has the establishment. And in effect, Donald Trump is the establishment.
Yeah.
And this is it. This week, they don't stop him here. They do not stop him.
I want to get a handle on a sort of I don't want to say conspiracy theory because, it's just fantasy politics. Here's what's really going on. Everybody has a theory. But Rand Paul's announcement on Friday that, his Never Nikki website and we have to stop Nikki Haley and so forth. And the belief that there is this deal that's been cut. And Trump already knows who his VP nominee is because it's Nikki Haley. And so now Don Jr. and Rand Paul and sort of libertarian conservative grassroots is trying to rally to prevent Nikki Haley from being Trump's nominee. What kind of stock do you put into that theory?
I put stock into no conspiracy theory ever because if people could pull off conspiracy theories, think of all the simple stuff they'd get right that they just mess up constantly. Look, Trump is ever transactional. If he gets, whether it's next week or next month or 3 months from now, and somebody tells him, you pick Nikki Haley and you're going to win, you think he's not going to consider it? Of course he's going to consider it. But Trump is famous for making a decision based on the last person he spoke to on the phone. I mean, that's how it was when he was president. That's how it is often. I think that there would be a lot of angst inside the sort of MAGA part of the movement if it's Nikki Haley, because Trump is an immediate turned out lame duck president, at least politically. He can't run again.
Right.
And whoever is his vice president, may not have a clear shot in the primary, but is sure going to have a platform to kind of become that person. And there would be a lot of people upset with the idea that Nikki Haley would be given that platform.
Yeah, but there's a lot of independents that I know that love her and would feel comfortable with her on the ticket with Trump.
Yes. Right. I think she would be the new version of what Mike Pence was for Donald Trump in 2016, which people forget how important it was that he chose a traditional Reagan conservative who believed all the things that they all liked about Republicans. And so they were willing to stomach this guy they weren't sure about. And Nikki Haley could help Trump do that again, maybe. So I think he would consider it. But is there some grand plan? I'm highly skeptical.
Yeah. Well, that would be, from my intuition on that would be the one thing that would dampen enthusiasm for Trump if he picked somebody like Nikki Haley, and then the two of them are going to go around talking about draining the swamp that she's being financed by. I don't see how that plays. I don't see how that's on brand. And there are so many better options.
Listen, I leave that up to you guys, but the minute this race is over, Trump's going to go to all those same donors and warn them that they better
I understand.
Or else.
I understand, but the difference is a belief in who is calling the shots in that relationship, and I think the belief is that Trump calls the shots whether you're a donor or not. And I don't know if a lot of people, myself included, have the same belief about Nikki Haley. But also, too, they're just, and this is all fantasy politics, too. But, when people are talking about Kristi Noem, maybe, but even people that are not necessarily national, she doesn't have a huge national profile, but doesn't have the national profile that she has. Wesley Hunt, congressman from Texas, or Byron Donalds from Florida, Tim Scott, South Carolina. There's so many more. There are a lot of options out there that I think are more attractive, that get you a lot of whatever you think you're getting from Nikki Haley, but don't have the downside of dampening enthusiasm among the base. It's always the danger to reach to the middle by abandoning your base, and you don't have to do that.
Well, maybe you don't. But you do need to take a look at the coalition that Biden was able to put together in 20, the coalition that Trump was able to put together in 16, and ask yourself how you get from here to there. It doesn't have to be Haley. I would say, Trump's going to be in his 80s when he finishes a second term if he's reelected. I think it's going to matter that he picks somebody that people see as a president and that can bring the party into the future just by being youthful. In other words, not being another 75-year-old somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody with executive experience would help. Somebody credentialed would help. And look, Trump's relationship with the base generally is so strong that he doesn't need help. All he needs to do is not pick somebody that would be so utterly rejected. I just think, while there's a corner of the base, and maybe you would be upset with Haley, as we've seen with Trump, people say all sorts of things, and then they just support him anyway because that's how they feel about him. And I suspect that might happen again.
David Drucker, senior writer for The Dispatch, author of In Trump's Shadow, The Battle for 2024 and the Future of the GOP. David, thanks as always.
Hey, thanks, guys. See you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts, knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
Guys, it's a new year, and Low T Center can help make it a great one. If you've been feeling tired, grumpy, have noticed lack of motivation and drive, have weight gain or loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels. Trust my friends at Low T Center. It's where I get my levels checked the past 8 years. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office where you have a long wait. It's concierge medicine exclusively for men. They have affordable and convenient options for treatment, including physician-monitored, self-inject treatments that ship directly to you each month, so there's no need to drive to the center for weekly visits. And right now, Low T Center is only $25 to get your T level tested. So make your health and quality of life a priority and make it a great year. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
Listen up. Do you or a family member or friend have an outstanding student loan and don't know where to turn or how much you're required to pay? The rules around student loan forgiveness have never been as complex as they are right now. The wrong decision could cost you and your family tens of thousands of dollars in unnecessary loan payments. Attorney Ray Kaplan at Kaplan Law Firm is here to help you make the right decision. And they recently saved a radio listener over $145,000. Kaplan Law knows the rules, knows the laws, knows the regulations and loopholes inside out. Don't pay another cent until you've consulted with attorney Ray Kaplan. Call today to schedule a phone or in-person consultation. Call Kaplan Law Firm at 312-294-8989. That's 312-294-8989. Or visit financialrelief.com and click on Contact. Financialrelief.com, click on Contact. Kaplan Law Firm, 25 East Washington Street in Chicago.
Hey, business owners, are you wondering how to grow your business? Do you need cash flow and a ready source for financing? Well, Signature Bank can help. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that Signature Bank's loan decisions are made locally by a team who knows your name, cares about your business, and is invested in your success. When you need advice about your business or even have a question, Signature Bank is there to help. There are no handoffs or call centers. This is a team that wants to get to know you and your business. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. When I call, someone picks up the phone on the other end. And with Signature Bank, I can securely bank anywhere, anytime. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630. That's 773-467-5630. Or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. Signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Man, you talk about hitting a grand slam, just feeling just incredible. And I mean, I haven't felt this great in years. I'm 52, and with these, wow. And I just appreciate I'm impressed. I've never felt this great. I just want to say thank you to you guys.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial and I said, what the heck? What do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Step into the new year with a new you. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-2468751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, economist Stephen Moore will join us to discuss, among other things, Jason Smith's deal with Senate Democrats on tax and spend policy. We'll start there at 7:37.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
5 above, a wind chill of 13 below at 7:32. Medicine en route to Gaza after France mediated a deal between Israel and Hamas. The deal to supply both hostages held by Hamas and Gaza residents comes more than 100 days after a conflict that shows no sign of ending. The Thai government's disaster relief agency says an explosion at a fireworks factory in central Thailand has killed at least 20. Immigration top of mind for voters heading into the New Hampshire primary next week. Fox's Madison Allworth is tracking candidates in New Hampshire this morning.
Thousands of miles from the southern border, the first-in-the-nation primary state, New Hampshire, is planning on voting with immigration as a top issue on Tuesday. According to recent polling, immigration is more pressing than the economy to voters here in New Hampshire, with nearly a quarter of them saying it is their top issue. In the Granite State, they're not just worried about the record number of crossings along the southern border. The Swanton sector of the northern border, which includes the border of New Hampshire and Canada, that has seen a 153% increase in migrant encounters in just 1 year.
The Supreme Court is set to hear arguments today on whether to overturn a decades-old decision that would change regulatory power. It will consider the fate of a doctrine of administrative law called the Chevron deference. It would transfer power from the administrative state back to Congress. The oldest member of the U.S. Senate is in the hospital. The office of Chuck Grassley says the 90-year-old Republican is receiving antibiotic infusions to treat an infection, but he is expected to make a full recovery. You may have used the liquor delivery service Drizzly. Well, today it will shut down. Drizzly was founded by 2 college students and then bought by Uber Technologies in 2021 for over $1 billion. Northern Illinois remains locked in bitter cold. A wind chill advisory is in effect until 9 a.m. A lawsuit has been filed against President Joe Biden's candidacy for the Illinois primary ballot by Terry Newsom and other Illinois voters, including Beth Finley Smith. She's a LaSalle County District 4 board member and is spearheading the challenge.
Provisions of the election code are designed to protect the integrity of the electoral process.
The crux of Smith's objection lies in the notarization of Biden's statement of candidacy. It was notarized by a notary commissioned in the District of Columbia instead of an Illinois official as mandated by state law and upheld by the courts. An employee in the City of Chicago clerk's office is accused of stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash payments for city stickers over a 7-year period. City Clerk Anna Valencia says her office uncovered the city sticker fees skimming, reporting it to the Inspector General, and new technology has been installed, she says, to not allow that crime to happen again. Blackhawks beat San Jose in a shootout 2-1. Hawks visit snowbound Buffalo next while the Bulls get ready for the Raptors. The news, a service of the AM 560 store. Order T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands at 560theanswer.com/store. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's a new year, and that means New Year's resolutions. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And if one of your New Year's resolutions was to do more to help others, then we want to let you know that you still have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of children in Latin America and the Caribbean through Food for the Poor. Your donation of just $80 provides food for an entire year for 2 children. That's life-changing. Just because the Christmas season is over, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. Food for the Poor is a faith-based organization that works with partners on the ground to make sure these children are fed. You know, we talk a lot about the root causes of our immigration crisis, and one of those causes is the situation in many of these countries. This is your chance to help take care of others. To make a donation of any amount, just visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. That's 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. Thanks again for your generosity. Chronic pain, it can ruin your marriage, bring on depression. It's no way to live. But now there's a non-surgical way to get rid of that hip, back, and joint pain. It's called QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative non-surgical pain relief. Did you know that your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue? And QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Hundreds of board-certified QC Kinetic providers have treated tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People like you and me with back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. Folks, this is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again. Get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. So fight back against the pain. Take the first step now. Call QC Kinetics. This is the number, 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
Man, you talk about hitting a grand slam, just feeling just incredible. And I mean, I haven't felt this great in years. I'm 52, and with these, wow. And I just appreciate, I'm impressed. I've never felt this great. I just want to say thank you to you guys.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial, and I said, what the heck? What do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Step into the new year with a new you. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Staples stores provide innovative products and services for small business, remote workers and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store.
7:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Eden, stop-and-go traffic from Cicero down to Montrose. The Kennedy at 50 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike at an hour, 390 into the old post office. Stevenson at 55 minutes, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. 30 minutes in on the Dan Ryan from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State accident, 2 left lanes blocked, northbound between the Mylong Bridge and 47. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our QC Kinetics Weather Center, cloudy, very cold, 18 for a high temp. Overnight cold, a low of 15. Snow will accumulate an inch or 2 by morning. 5 at O'Hare, 7 at Midway, 7 in Joliet, 6 in Kankakee, 6 above along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Jason Smith, who's chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, and he's part of the Troika investigating Biden Inc. with Comer at Oversight and Jordan at Judiciary. Well, Jason Smith has cut a bipartisan tax deal with Senate Democrats. That's concerning. It sounds like the sort of bipartisan deal that's attempting to be cut on border security over in the Senate between Langford and Schumer. But is it? Or has Smith been able to extract enough concessions from Senate Democrats to garner something that is net positive, even modestly, pro-growth, even modestly, given the composition of the Senate and the occupant of the White House? To distill that potential deal for us, we're pleased to be joined, as always, by Steve Moore, economist, author of GovZilla. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hope you're staying warm. We have about 7 inches of snow here in suburban D.C., which is
we don't care about your problems in D.C.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm just glad that I don't. I'm just glad that I don't live in Chicago and have an electric vehicle.
I know.
Yes.
I mean, people. One man, Stephen Moore, was there 20 hours. He stayed in the warming, and he was wondering why it's not working. He's been there 20. You think after the first hour he'd realize if
yes,
the battery's not charging.
By the way, I think it was you, Amy, was telling this story. I think it was you about how a lot of women don't want to buy electric vehicles because they don't want to have to stand out in the middle of nowhere for 45 minutes and have to charge their car when they could get mugged or all sorts of things can happen. So. But this is unbelievable. I mean, you've had people, and it's not just happening in Chicago, all over the country, where people are being stranded in their electric vehicle, which is supposed to be, I'm calling them the Joe Biden cars.
That's good.
Yeah, we had a caller earlier when we were discussing this. I diagnosed a new condition, EVD, electric vehicle dysfunction, and it's not satisfying. You're unable to charge up, and so on and so forth. I think you get the message. Anyway, yes. Well, the good news.
On the deal.
Yeah. On the deal that Jason Smith cut with Senate Democrats, tell us what the net of it is.
So, first I want to back for a minute. It's really important for people that tax issue is going to be in this 2024 election. Biden's budget that he put out 9 or 10 months ago really had his agenda for a second term. And he has, and this was reported in the Wall Street Journal, but you can read his own document, about $6 trillion of new taxes over the next 10 years. Now, of course, that's only going to be paid by, quote, the rich. But here's what he wants to do, just so people are fully aware. He wants to double the capital gains tax rate from like 20% to almost 40%. He wants to tax unrealized capital gains. So even if you don't sell your stock or your farm or your house, you're going to have to pay tax on it. He wants to increase the American corporate tax rate from 21 to 28%. So we're reversing the Trump tax cut and the dividend tax and so on. So if you invest, say, $1 million in a new company and you make money on it, you're going to pay about a 60 to 65% tax rate on these things. That would kill the economy. Now, so what the Republicans are saying is, well, let's make the Trump tax cuts permanent. And I'm in favor of that because I helped write the Trump tax cuts, but they were highly effective. They did create a lot of jobs. They created a lot of businesses. They brought money back from Mexico and Japan and China back into the United States, which is what we wanted. And so Smith has a deal to make some of those things permanent. And I think it's on balance, a good thing. Now, some of my conservative friends are worried about one feature that Democrats want is to increase the child credit and to make it refundable. In other words, if you have a kid, the government will actually pay you money. And I have a problem with that because, the more money you give people for free, the less they're going to work.
Oh, okay, but so what do you get of the Trump tax cuts
Okay.
That you author. So what do you get? What do you, what's on the growth side, and then what's on the subsidy side, other than this child tax credit, so we know how to net this out and decide whether or not we tell our congreshumans to vote for it?
I think the most important thing that this bill does is it allows businesses to immediately expense. In other words, write off on their taxes when they build a plant or purchase equipment or purchase computers and things like that are capital purchases. And under current law, you have to you depreciate those over sometimes 10, 20, 30 years. This basically says once you buy it, you get to write it off. And so that is an incentive for businesses to, build new plants and to have more machinery and equipment and things like that make American workers productive. So I'm in favor of that. And that would be the single best feature of this deal. It's not, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge thing, but I think it's a step in the right direction.
What about the individual tax rate reductions that were attendant to the Trump tax cuts? Do those stay, or do those get extended, or do they go?
So under the current law, they go. And,
right, I know, but what about this deal?
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I don't know for sure. I know what Jason Smith has mostly been talking about is some of these business tax reductions would stay in place. So I can look that up and get you the answer, but I don't remember because what we did, just so people understand, we also cut the small business tax by about 30, from like 40% to 30%, and that is something that is scheduled to expire in 2026. And you know what? I don't remember whether this particular deal keeps those rates low for the small businesses.
So those, right, and so the individual rates reductions expire in 20. They expire in 20. What? They expire.
We cut that rate from 40% to 37%, and I don't think that's included in this deal. I mean, basically, what Biden would do is just repeal the whole Trump tax cut,
right?
Which would be absurd because it worked. This is one thing about liberals that I don't understand. It's one thing to have a debate about whether something will work or not work, and that's why we have people like me and people like Paul Krugman on the other side, and we debated it back and forth. But it happened, and we know what happened, and it worked, and they still want to get rid of it.
Well, I know what that. Well, we all know what they want to do, but I mean, I'm just as a practical matter, the individual rate reductions, if you're not a business owner, they expire in 25 as well. So even if you don't get a deal to extend those and the business rate reduction you were just mentioning, you still have another bite at the apple in 25 if you have a Republican president and Republican controlled Senate, and then you could perhaps do more.
Of course, if Trump is reelected, he'll have I would argue he would have a voter mandate to make those tax cuts permanent. If he loses, I guarantee you, folks, taxes are going way, way, way up. And I guarantee you it's not just for rich people. It's everybody's going to pay a lot more. I mean, it's pretty extraordinary to me that we have a, $34 trillion national debt right now. And Joe Biden has not proposed a single penny, not one penny of spending cuts. His only proposal to bring down our deficit is to massively raise taxes, which will hurt the economy. And in the long run, it's going to make our deficit worse, not better.
Speaking of spending, and you just mentioned one penny, Trump is not exactly a proponent of radical restructuring of the spend emanating from D.C., but maybe you could take another run at him to adopt that one penny plan that had some currency a few years ago and then sort of went away during the pandemic. Maybe we bring that back. Why don't you explain that?
I love that idea, and I had forgotten about that, but I forget who was it. I think it was Herman Cain or someone like that who was in favor of that. And the idea is, okay, so we spend each year $6 trillion. So what we do is we say to every single agency of government, every one of them, okay, instead of spending $1 like you did last year, you're going to spend 99 cents. Okay, so you're going to shave 1% off your budget. Children are going to die. People are going to go hungry in the streets. Of course, we could cut one penny. I mean, every rational person understands we could cut one. Then what you do the second year is you cut another penny. So now instead of 99 cents, they have 98 cents. And then in the third year, you cut another penny. So instead of 98 cents, you have 97%. And you do that for 5 years. And then after 5 years, you basically have reached a balanced budget. So it's really not that hard. Now, I'm talking about everything. You have to cut the military spending. You have to cut the Medicare spending. But we're just shaping it a little bit. Don't you think that these agencies can spend 95 cents out of the dollar rather than $1?
No. Not possible.
No. Yeah, right. Yeah.
No way. We can't cut one
Nothing's
penny.
functional.
You're with Biden.
Somebody's going to say draconian cuts, and then everybody's going to run for the hills, is what normally happens. Yeah, she's right about that. I wanted to get to one other matter I saw in your Unleash Prosperity newsletter. Avid reader of that.
Yeah, put the copy back on my desk, please.
The Biden.
You're not getting it?
No, I'm not getting it, but I will get it. Yes.
All right. You send me your email, and I'm going to make sure you're getting it every morning.
All right. The Biden war on highway sign humor. This is a huge issue.
Oh, yeah. This is a big issue. So that you've got these signs that are hang over the expressways, and they'll say stuff like there for some funny messages that they get the point across, like they're public service messages. One of my favorites is don't drink and drive, it tastes terrible, and stuff like that.
Right.
And these are funny, and if you're driving, especially long distances, it's so monotonous. Looking at the sign makes you funny, but it also makes you think about what they're talking about. And so the Biden administration wants to make those signs illegal because they say they're distracting drivers.
Oh, please.
Ridiculous. And by the way, I got to tell you,
you don't want to distract drivers on the Kennedy. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, because they're going 80 miles an hour, right? But then I guarantee you, then they're going to say, "Oh, you can't have funny billboards." And my favorite billboard of all time is anybody, probably some of your Chicago, residents and listeners know about this one. If you go from Palm Beach, Florida, to Miami on I-95, there's a big sign that says, "Your wife is hot. Better get your air conditioner fixed."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Those kinds of things are really funny, and that makes. I mean, come on, can't we have a sense of humor in this country anymore?
I like the one in Ohio that was mentioned. Slow down, or visiting your in-laws? ? Slow down, get there late. Yeah, I like that. That'll encourage you to pull your foot off the pedal, right?
There's another great one. It's a sign, but it's upside down. So you're reading it, but it's upside down. It says, "If you can read this, you've been in an accident."
Oh my gosh,
that's pretty good. Yeah, sure. Don't fire all those government humorists. We need them. Steve Moore, economist, Govzilla author. Steve, thanks as always.
Hey, guys, have a great day. Take care.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Imagine what your future looks like. Is the picture a little blurry? Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Alpha Wealth Group. When we look ahead, we're visualizing where we want to be, and for retirement, that can be hard without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost. There is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Over the weekend, I met a woman who had a knee replacement back in July. And guess what? She was still in pain, and her knee was still swollen. And I asked her, did you try anything alternative before you went under the knife? And she said no. So I told her about QC Kinetics. You don't have to go another year compromising because of the pain in your knees or shoulders or hip or back. Your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue, and QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. So again, don't go another year, another day in pain. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative, non-surgical pain relief. The future of pain treatments has arrived, folks. Hundreds of board-certified QC Kinetics providers have treated tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People with that back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. This is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again. So get your life back, because when you're in pain, you're miserable, and the people around you, it's not a good time for them either. So do this again. It's non-surgical. The number to call, QC Kinetics, for a free consultation, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955, 312-809-5955.
My brother was here with his wife, and I said, listen, take the rest of these 2 bottles. And my brother's like, well, and I said, no, there's nothing to think about. Just get it, order it, get it on auto ship. And in the first couple months, you may not thank me and go, I don't feel anything. But I said, but about that 3rd month, it starts kicking in. I mean, I'm singing, I'm doing dishes. I love it. Absolutely love, love, love it.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
45 years ago, I started Permaseal Basement Systems working out of my apartment and F-150 pickup truck. Today, we've helped over 500,000 people in Greater Chicagoland make their homes healthy and more valuable. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer. I'd like to thank all of you who have trusted Permaseal and reassure you that your trust is well placed. You can trust Permaseal to use only our own professional employees that will respect you and your home. Trust that we will deliver the best value, using fair book pricing so you don't have to negotiate to get the best deal. And trust Permaseal to always stand behind our work and our word. This January, we're celebrating with an anniversary sale offering 10% off all our services or up to 24-month interest-free financing, waterproofing, crawl space encapsulation, structural repairs, even our new attic insulation service. Be sure to call by January 31st to get great savings and great service. 800-421-7325, 800-421-SEAL, or visit permaseal.net.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, meet my local Chicagoland official of the year. I mean, we're only 3 weeks in, but so far, Josh McBroom, Naperville City Councilman. Find out why at 8:08.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Still bitterly cold in the area, and most schools are reopening for today. Illinois providing more funding to support migrants, and the Blackhawks beat the Sharks in a shootout. WIND Chicago News Time, 8.
It's a 3-person race now in New Hampshire. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, but former President Trump doesn't want it to be.
We have these two people. We really got to get back on to Biden and beating the Democrats and not wasting a lot of time with these two.
He campaigned last night next to Vivek Ramaswamy, who dropped out after Iowa.
I think Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley would actually at this point do this country and this party a service by stepping aside.
But the polls in New Hampshire 6 days before the primary have Nikki Haley not that far back from the former president.
We can't have a country in disarray and a world on fire and go through 4 more years of chaos.
Ron DeSantis, after finishing second in Iowa, has been a distant third in New Hampshire surveys, so he tells CNN he's not just focused focused on that state.
We consider New Hampshire, South Carolina to both be important, as well as Nevada, by the way.
Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, who's considering a third-party run for president, wants to meet with President Biden to rein him in from the left, telling Fox the administration's wrong to consider the border secure.
They are living in la-la land. It's a disaster, and they know it's a disaster. So let's fix it.
Republicans have demanded border policy changes because of record illegal immigration, and that's held up a bill to provide more military aid to Ukraine and Israel. The president will meet with the congressional leaders today to try to find a compromise. Meanwhile, Congress has a Friday deadline to fund the government.
No reasonable member on either side, Democrat or Republican, wants a government shutdown.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer hopes the proposed new funding deadlines of March 1st and 8th will give Congress enough time to pass a full budget. The Senate still needs to vote on final passage, and the package will need to pass the House.
Fox's Ryan Schmel. Some House Republicans oppose that funding, demanding spending cuts. Medicine is on the way for Israeli and American hostages still being held captive in Gaza, after Israel and Hamas worked out an agreement for each box of medicine the hostages get. 1,000 will be sent for Palestinian civilians as the war still rages. America's listening to Fox News.
5 above at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Still wind chills in the negative double digits around the area. A much-loved venue in Oakbrook Terrace was damaged by fire Tuesday afternoon. Fire broke out around 12:15 yesterday at the Drury Lane Theater in a second-floor mechanical room. All employees were evacuated safely. A lawsuit has been filed against President Joe Biden's candidacy for the Illinois primary ballot by Terry Newsom and other Illinois voters.
You know, he left $75 billion military equipment and weaponry in Afghanistan for the Taliban, who is our enemy. They're using some of the weapons that Biden left behind.
And Illinois lawmakers are signing off on guidelines covering how state police will enforce a registry of gun owners who possess now banned sport rifles. Residents who possess the guns covered by the ban were supposed to have them registered by January 1st. During a hearing yesterday of the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules in Springfield, Republicans failed to stop the rules from being put in place. State police will now have 90 days to address an objection filed by Republicans. Meantime, the Illinois State Rifle Association's Ed Sullivan says finally there is clarity about whether the Illinois State Police will destroy any registration records.
Once all appeals are exhausted and there's a court that federal or state orders the destruction of the records and the state records department says you can do it, then they would destroy the records. And so that's a win for law-abiding gun owners.
The law remains challenged in federal court and is expected to be decided by the U.S. Supreme Court. Blackhawks beat San Jose in a long shootout, 2-1 at the United Center. Bulls getting ready for the Raptors. The Atlanta Falcons say they've interviewed Michigan's Jim Harbaugh for their vacant head coaching job. It's 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Tech companies are still cutting jobs this year on top of shrinking staff last year. Tracking website Layoffs FYI says overall tech firms have let go more than 7,500 employees so far this month. Citizens Financial Group shares are lower. The Providence, Rhode Island-based bank reported a weaker profit in the recent quarter. Discount fashion retailer Shein is facing new challenges as it works on launching its stock in New York. The U.S. is its biggest market. It was founded by Chinese entrepreneurs, later moved its headquarters to Singapore. The Wall Street Journal says investigators in China are looking into how the business handles information from staff, suppliers, and partners. It needs approval from China's securities regulators before it can list overseas. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station. But now, there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online, on the app, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Be sure to schedule your health assessment with my friends at Low T Center. They offer the convenience of physician-monitored, self-inject, at-home testosterone treatments with an average payment of $150 a month cash pay, including labs and medication. If you don't live near a Low T Center or just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy shipping treatments directly to you. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. That's Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Do relationships today seem harder than ever? In the world of IT management and infrastructure, what if you had a business partner that thinks like you, is easy to work with, and just seems to get it? MS Consulting Services has been doing this for 25 years. But don't listen to us, listen to some actual customers.
This is Bruno. I work for a medical software company. Being in this field, trust is very important. MS Consulting has been my trusted partner for almost 20 years. They are experienced, dependable, and honest. They do not try to oversell. They truly want to help and are willing to go out of their way to prove it.
Hi, my name's Gary. MS Consulting Services was laser focused on understanding the needs of our business. It was a priority to them to understand the needs of our customers. They're not just helpful, they really are experts at what they do.
So if you want a relationship like this, call John at 1-800-MIT-0404. You'll be glad you did.
You know, our friends at Henry Repeating Arms, they manufacture a line of very high-quality rifles, shotguns, and revolvers that you can be very proud to own. Now, they're made in America with parts and materials also from America. Now, they use old-world craftsmanship combined with cutting-edge technology to deliver reliable and accuracy that you can trust in any situation. Now, they're easy to use and maintain. It makes them an excellent choice for both a novice and experienced shooter. Henry has over 200 models, so you can find the firearm that's right for you. There's also new releases all throughout the year. And every purchase is backed by their lifetime warranty and the company's owner. Anthony Imperato also gives his personal guarantee for 100% satisfaction. Now, make sure you go to their website, henryusa.com, order their free catalog. They'll send you free decals and a list of dealers where you are. That's henryusa.com. Free catalog, free decals, and a list of dealers where you are. You're going to love this company and these firearms like I do.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Eden's stop-and-go traffic inbound between Peterson and Montrose. On the Kennedy inbound, you're jammed up Montrose to Kimball. It's an hour and 19 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike-in, it's an hour from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson, 1 hour from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. I-57 in the Bishop Ford jamming into the Ryan Merge. Veterans with stop-and-go traffic northbound between Boughton and the Reagan. That's I-88. An accident on I-80 westbound between Harlem and LaGrange Road. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast in our QC Kinetics Weather Center. Here's Steve Williams.
A wind chill advisory for this morning. Clouds and cold. High today 18. Snow tonight 1 to 2 inches. Low 15. Snow tomorrow morning. Little to no accumulation. Otherwise clouds. Very cold day. High tomorrow at 21. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
5 at O'Hare. 7 at Midway. 3 in Aurora. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. It's not as aggressive as I've proposed, but I like what Naperville City Councilman Josh McBroom advanced as a thought before the City Council.
Was
his
he your
colleagues.
crush?
We had him on the show back when he was running, and I thought he was going to be somebody that may stick out among the pantheon of local elected officials in Chicagoland. He's a financial planner by trade, if I remember. He seemed like a sensible guy. So what I proposed, of course, was you know your neighborhood. You know your communities in which you live in the suburbs. So why not, instead of telling migrants who arrive by bus or by train in your community, doing what these hate has no home here Chardonnay Antifa types like Heidi Rudolph in Western Springs does, and say, great to have you here. Now get your ass on that train. We're sending you to Chicago. Why not, instead of doing that, say, Heidi, meet my friend who's just arrived from Venezuela. He's cold. He doesn't like Chicago's winter, not used to it. And I thought, what a leadership opportunity you have to provide shelter, take him and his family, or just him, into your home, and encourage others to do the same. I mean, it's cold. I get it. I get why they don't want to be in Chicago.
The cold is too much, says Gabriel Diaz, the 38-year-old new arrival from Venezuela, and dozens of others temporarily moved to the lower level of the Harold Washington Library. Because the city's windswept landing strip at Polk and Des Plaines presenting a dangerous environment for asylum seekers, temporarily forcing the suspension of the combination city and state intake center. Venezuelan asylum seeker Andres Contreras, a block down from the library, stunned to experience the bitter cold.
Pues la verdad no estoy acostumbrado a este frío, pues.
The truth is that I'm not accustomed to this cold, Contreras says. I've never seen the snow before. It's beautiful, but it's too excessive, the cold you have here.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, exactly.
So sad, too bad, as you always say.
Well, but I mean, no, it's a asylum seeker. Right. You know, so these are asylum seekers. They're nomenclature for all people in this country illegally. And so, again, it's such an opportunity. I mentioned yesterday when we were talking to Ted Dabrowski, when they get dropped off in Wilmette, or you see them panhandling in front of Plaza del Lago, take them over to Byron Trott's house on the lake and say to Byron Trott's servants, you have work, you have quarters. I mean, why not take some people in? Again, provide that leadership that our civic leaders, that the wealthy to whom we look for moral guidance. Provide that leadership. Provide the example. Live your values. Maybe too aggressive for most people to be that confrontational with their barbaric neighbors, the sentimental barbarians, the sophisticated animals in their community, many of whom are in public office, many of whom are very wealthy. Maybe too aggressive. So Josh McBroom has an alternative suggestion. Take a listen to what he proposed at a recent Naperville City Council meeting.
In light of the fact that, I'm not going to support, using other people's money to house or aid, I do know that there's a lot of people that do care. And I think we live in a compassionate community. So, before we go down the road of, doing what, following suit on some of these other cities are taking action on, my idea would be let's find out. Let's find out who's willing to help, So, we do hear from constituents on both sides of this. What are we going to do to preemptively stop this? And then we hear from people that tell us we should do more. So, we do have a very affluent community, a lot of big homes. And what I'd like to do is direct staff to create a sign-up sheet. So, for individuals that would be willing to house migrant families. And if there's people that would do that, God bless them. So if we could raise awareness in that way, I think we need to find out. I think we need to find out who would be willing to house migrant families. And so that would be my new business. I'd be looking for support from the dais.
What about that?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
How about a sign-up sheet? And you can circulate that sign-up sheet. You can go door to door. You can bring that to church service. You can bring that to social events and say, hey, Sally, I got the sign-up sheet. Would you like to put your name down? And I'll make sure that the village gets it. So we have this running list. And I'll tell you what, the other thing you could do, the COVID protocol, is rolling announcements about the sign-up sheet. Here's who's on the sign-up sheet. Here's how many people we have signed up so far. You could cross-check them against the frozen "no person can be illegal" signs in yards in Naperville. I mean, I don't want to out McBroom here, but it's not like any of these pea-hat-wearing awfuls in Naperville listen to this show. They are not adult enough. They're not mature enough to handle cognitive dissonance or agreements, or discussions on the merits of things. So there's no worries there. Nothing I say. But I mean, it's like he perfectly introduced that, right? So it doesn't come across as mocking their hypocrisy. It comes across as
He sounds sincere.
You're compassionate. We have this sign-up sheet. We'll extol your virtue, which is the thing that you're most concerned about, your status. And this will confer more status. You want to be included. You don't want to be excluded from the compassionate set, do you?
Do you think they'll make the list public?
Well, that would be my point. I mean, certainly it would be FOIAble once it's a city document, but it shouldn't need a FOIA request. It should just be updating at least at every council meeting, if not just like existing on the website and make a downloadable, again, sign-up sheet so that residents can get engaged. This is a way to engage the community, to have people who want to do something empowered to do something, right?
312.
Sign-up sheet. What's wrong with a sign-up sheet? Volunteer.
Yeah. Now, would people be paid to take in?
No, you don't. I would pay.
Just do it out of the goodness of your heart?
Well, we're talking about people who have nothing but goodness in their heart.
Oh,
why would you have to sully this with filthy lucre?
Because I want money.
No. But I mean, this is not limited to the suburbs, of course. Amy, you could. I know. You could do a petition or sign up, not a petition, sign up sheet in your ward and
bring it to church for sure.
Well, and then
step up
and deliver it to the ward office of your socialist alderman,
Matt Martin.
Yeah, and then see if he'll post it in the window, put it on his website. Sign up sheets. You're not forcing anybody to do anything. You're not at somebody's doorstep with an asylum seeker. It's just a sign-up sheet. What could be more innocuous, more community-oriented, more civic-minded than a sign-up sheet so that you have local leadership providing constituents with the opportunity to engage and participate? And then we could record and even compete. Hinsdale versus Naperville versus Glen Ellen versus Downers Grove. Which is the most welcoming community? And then we can hand out ribbons, and then you could put it on your welcome to sign. We're the most welcoming community of 2023, 2024. We had 3 people sign up to house migrants. I mean, what's the difference between providing accommodations for an asylum seeker versus like a foreign exchange student? Just think of it that way. Right? Mm-hmm. Sign-up sheet. Thank you, Josh McBroom. Yeah, he's so much more civilized than I am. No need to be confrontational.
No, he seemed very sincere.
Provide the avenue to demonstrate your enlightenment. Matt, Southside.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Instead of put your money where your mouth is, maybe people could put their home where their mouth is. I think I'm going to put that on a sign and tell people to stick that on their lawn.
Thanks for the call, Matt. Well, Southside is going to be a little bit more aggressive than the docile community of Naperville, but okay, whatever works in your hood. Grant, Rockford.
Good morning, Dan. It's just a perfect piggyback to what Abbott's doing. And you know how we love our forums and our committees and things. They need to put together a committee of people that go door to door, and then they can have a form so that, like you say, this is foyable, where it says, I either accept or I decline to house migrants in my home. So that, like you say, these people can be exposed for the awfuls, the angry right female leftists that they are. I mean, the entire thing, it's perfect, Dan. You put them right on the spot. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks for the call, Grant. Lisa in Westmont. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Dan, how's it going? We just had a village meeting, and our mayor literally read an excerpt from DuPage County, and all this does is that we have to be, there's no rules against these people coming in by train. Why don't we put a sign-up genius on the Facebook website so that people can sign up and be held accountable?
Absolutely. Thanks for the call, Lisa. Perfect. Yeah, we're right. You don't even need to go door to door with these frigid temperatures. You use technology in this 21st century in which we live, and then you're memorialized forever on social media. And then, you just have to follow up to say, now put the name of the migrant, and you don't have to use, the full name. You just, it's Joe L. from Venezuela that I'm hosting. And then you really have the connection. Sign up
It's a
genius.
good start. Yeah.
Yeah. Put this to the test. Rick in Downers Grove.
Hey, good morning. Why doesn't the simplest solution ever occur to these idiots, or is that the reason they're idiots? Enforce the border laws, deport these people here illegally, and you won't have to go begging for money, and you won't have to beg people to house these. The problem would eventually take care of itself. But why don't they ever think of that?
Ooh, that's harsh. Begging and so. No, nobody's begging. Well, why would you need to beg when you have communities full of compassionate, affluent people who are their brother's keeper? Well, that's what they tell us. So certainly, if given the opportunity, at their leisure and where they live, metaphysically as well as physically, that's the solution, isn't it? Vince in Crete.
Hey, Dan and Amy, good morning. How about J.B. Pritzker leads by example? I'm sure he's got to have enough room in one of those mansions. Maybe if you put down a cheeseburger and milkshake, he'd have room for a couple extra migrants, even Mayor Johnson. Maybe
Thanks for the call, Vince.
No, he won't take it. I remember confronting him once why he doesn't have a foster child. I'm like, you have all this space. Why don't you and MK become foster parents? He said he was too busy.
Well, I don't need.
Running the state of Illinois.
Well, he doesn't. He doesn't need to be the caretaker. No. He's got staff for that.
Right.
He just needs to open up that Gold Coast mansion. And again, boy, think about the brush fire that would start if Governor Pritzker.
Wouldn't that be great? Living with the Pritzkers. It could be a reality TV show. But it's a little dangerous. We mentioned this earlier. There's a robbery right in front of Pritzker's house last night. Somebody tried to carjack the driver of an Audi, a white Audi, but it was stick shift, so they couldn't take the car. But they did end up taking the guy's wallet and roughing him up a little, right in front of Pritzker's house.
Well, if you're providing a home to a migrant family, many migrant families, in the case of J.B. Pritzker, you also have a security detail, so the migrants wouldn't have to worry about that. Maybe your average Chicago resident has to worry about street crime, but J.B. Pritzker doesn't, and nor would anybody that he opens his home to. So there's no issue. Deborah, Arlington Heights.
Good morning. This reminds me of the story of the little red hen. All the virtue signalers out there that want to post on social media about how they're a more compassionate, better person because they support people coming here illegally, They want to reap the benefit of, being patted on the back, but then when it's time to actually do it, they don't want to do anything to help bake the bread. That's the way that it is.
Thanks for the call, Deborah. Well, the sign-up sheet, we put that to the test. Corky, Northwest Side.
Yeah, hi. I was telling your screener, you remember that school in New York they shut down? They put the illegals in. They put the kids that go there home, and if they're studying, who knows. But anyway, in Skokie, Niles West High School, 5701 West Oakton, right on the corner of Grosse Pointe Road and Oakton, there's a 2-story. This is big money sign. They painted it on. It's beautiful. Hate has no home here. Black Lives Matter. There you go. Perfect.
There you go. Wonderful. And perhaps the school board, the community come together and they could sign up that school. They'll keep their kids at home and they'll do remote learning or whatever needs to be done to make sure that that resource could be utilized. They could, again, this is an opportunity to lead. And you're just providing the opportunity. You're not shaming anybody. You're not confronting anybody. You're just saying, let's put our community to the test. Obviously, if these communities are who they say they are, we don't have an issue. Jerry in Harwood Heights.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Amy. Excuse me. These people that take in these migrants or into their homes, maybe they could get that little banner of like the Gold Star families had during World War II, that had that little banner with how many stars on there that showed how many of their sons were serving in the war. They could have that put on their house with the stars of how many migrants they have in their house.
All right, Jerry. I got a text from 312. In the 1970s, my very conservative town in Pennsylvania did exactly this. We took in thousands of Vietnamese refugees who lived in our homes for about 6 months or so until they could get their own homes. So my conservative town could do it in the 1970s. Why can't a liberal town like Naperville do it in the 2020s? Yeah, why not? I mean, you have Ukrainian refugees that have been taken in.
Right.
So what's the problem? I mean, it's not like these towns are full of left-wing racists. Nobody's saying that, are they? So, right, if a town in Pennsylvania, outside of in a town in suburban Pennsylvania could do it in the 70s for Vietnamese refugees after the war, or in Chicagoland and other communities are doing it with Ukrainian refugees during the war, then why wouldn't the residents of Naperville and all of these other leafy suburban communities jump at the chance? 6 months, until they get on their feet, to get their work permit, and because they're all asylum seekers who are just here for a better life, or they're fleeing oppression, or some combination of the two. That's what I understand from them. So 6 months or so? What's the big deal? Why wouldn't you? Is there any reason why you wouldn't? I'd like to hear it. Joe in Arlington Heights.
Hey, good morning. You've really turned my opinion on this issue. So I want to go on record that in Arlington Heights, I have room for up to 2 young, hot Brazilian chicks.
Oh, my God.
I will do my part.
I mean, that's so nice of you.
Joe, I mean, see, that's the sort of selflessness that exists out there if you just get a little bit of civic leadership from your village or city board. I love it. Thanks, Joe. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Between the Consumer Price Index, inflation, and job reports, it feels like you need a PhD in economics to fully understand the economic news happening around us every day. That's why you need the Everyday Economics Podcast. Join host Chris Krug and economist Dr. Orfe Devungi as they help you understand the economic world happening around you every day. Listen to the Everyday Economics Podcast at americastalking.com or wherever you get your podcast.
Relief factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Seth Holhouse brings hope and insight as he fights against socialism and communism on the Man in America podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
The role of the digital world in shaping our perception of the real world cannot be overlooked. It seems like all of these mechanisms are dividing us in endless ways.
Subscribe to Man in America today on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. It's a big week at the Supreme Court. Today, the justices are hearing 2 big cases that could mark the beginning of the end of 4 decades of bureaucratic overreach. In 1984, the Chevron decision held that federal agencies could rely on a presidential administration's policy views to resolve ambiguities in federal laws. The problem with this approach is that the Constitution vests legislative power in our Congress, not in administrative agencies staffed by unelected bureaucrats. The Loper-Bright enterprises and relentless cases give the Supreme Court an opportunity to make that point clear. It's also a chance to return lawmaking to leaders that voters can hold accountable. Chief Justice Roberts and Justices Alito, Gorsuch, and Thomas have previously expressed concerns with the Chevron case. It takes only one more vote to put lawmaking back where it belongs, in the hands of elected officials. Let's hope that happens. We'll be watching closely.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, the Houthis used to be terrorists, then they weren't anymore. Now they are again.
Yeah.
We'll start there with Cliff May, Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, at 8:38.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
8:32, 6 above, a wind chill of 14 below. The Thai government's disaster relief agency says an explosion at a fireworks factory in central Thailand has killed at least 20. Former President Donald Trump campaigning in New Hampshire following an easy victory in the Iowa caucuses. The former president spoke at a rally in Atkinson Tuesday night. Didn't comment on second-place finisher Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, but did call out Nikki Haley by name.
As you know, Nikki Haley in particular is counting on the Democrats and liberals to infiltrate your Republican primary. You know that. That's what's happening.
The former South Carolina governor trails the ex-president by only 7 points and has the backing of New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu. The oldest member of the U.S. Senate in the hospital, Chuck Grassley, the 90-year-old Iowa Republican, receiving antibiotic infusions to treat an infection. The 8-term senator is expected to make a full recovery. Well, a suburban teen is on the lam after 2 other teens were arrested and charged related to a December robbery that happened at a Lifetime Fitness. Orland Park police say there's a warrant out for the arrest of 18-year-old Hickory Hills resident No Masood, and that was issued Tuesday after 2 other 19-year-olds were arrested. Illinois lawmakers are signing off on guidelines covering how state police will enforce a registry of gun owners who possess now-banned sport rifles. State Representative Ryan Spain before the JCAR board yesterday, sharing frustration with the process.
And here we are now in January, after the first of the year, wondering where things stand. And I'm really quite frustrated that we could have approached this differently with a clearer time frame.
Republicans objected to the stated rules. Now state police will have 90 days to address their objections. By the way, that gun ban law remains challenged in federal court and is expected to be decided by the U.S. Supreme Court eventually. Chicago sports. Blackhawks beat San Jose 2-1 in a shootout at the UC. They visit Buffalo next. While the Bulls are getting ready for the Raptors tomorrow, the news is a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Chronic pain, it can ruin your marriage, bring on depression. It's no way to live. But now there's a non-surgical way to get rid of that hip, back, and joint pain. It's called QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative non-surgical pain relief. Did you know that your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue? And QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Hundreds of board-certified QC Kinetic providers have treated tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People like you and me with back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. Folks, this is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again. Get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. So fight back against the pain. Take the first step now. Call QC Kinetics. This is the number, 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
We feel like doing more. Yeah, we're 83 and 84 years old, and we're talking about buying a pontoon boat. What's that tell you? We may say, hey, come out and film us.
I've just been doing great, and I just feel like it's a definite advantage to take them. Well, let me just say one other thing. I mentioned to my doctor that I was taking Balance of Nature, and they said they were very positive about that. And they said that was really good. That's a good product, and so I've been very pleased.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
It's 8:37. Let's get an update on the roads. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, this update is service of Discover. Did you know Discover wants everyone to feel special? That's why with your Discover card, you have access to 24/7 customer service, as well as $0 fraud liability, which means you're never held responsible for unauthorized purchases. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. Limitations apply. Eden's at 30 minutes Lake Cook Road to the junction. Kennedy right now is at 90 minutes from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. The Eisenhower solid in from 390 to the old post office at an hour and 14 minutes. The Stevenson this morning checks in at 52 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Bishop Ward and I-57 jamming into the Ryan Merge. Delays in Lake Forest, an accident Waukegan Road just south of Route 60. West Chicago, an accident Route 59 at Hawthorne. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our QC Kinetics Weather Center, cloudy, cold, high of 18 today. Snow begins overnight up to 2 inches by tomorrow morning. 6 at O'Hare, 8 at Midway. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Our bettors from the world over are meeting in Davos this week. It's another World Economic Forum Fest. And
from Forum Fest to Forum Fest.
It's off to a fast start.
Oh, okay.
Harvard Planetary Sciences professor Naomi Oreskes, she spent her time explaining her fear of social media companies that are not working in conjunction with, the government of the United States and, of course, governments the world over.
For a long time, I was on Twitter, and now it's become such a toxic place that I've concluded it's not a worthwhile place to spend time. And as you've said, it is exhausting. So you do have to pick and choose, and you have to think about where the places where you can get your message across. But I am trying to figure out, I have given up on X, what a scary name that even is, right? And I don't know what the alternative is right now.
You know, it's a scary, toxic place.
That conference?
Harvard.
Oh, Harvard, yeah.
Yeah, that's a scary, toxic place, too. She hasn't given up on Harvard yet. Deep thinker, Harvard planetary science professor Naomi Oreskes. She's scared of the rebranding of Twitter. We also had another luminary from the Biden administration present to offer a review of what's happening in the globe, geopolitical deep thinking from Jake from State, who is a diplomat in the same way that Jake from State Farm is an insurance broker. So Jake Sullivan showed up to the World Economic Forum to give one of those, sucking on the temple tip of eyeglasses review of what's happening across the globe, this new world order.
I guess, and maybe this is the old kind of teacher in me coming out. I think of this a little bit more about a transition of eras rather than a transition of orders, but the two are kind of cousins of one another. The reason I draw the distinction is because I don't think the international order built after 1945 is getting replaced wholesale with some new order. It will obviously evolve as it has evolved multiple times over the decades since 1945. But I do think in a more sharp and distinctive way, we are moving into a new era, and that's what I talked about in my remarks, that we are, the post-Cold War era has come to a close. We're at the start of something new. We have the capacity to shape what that looks like, and at the heart of it will be many of the core principles and core institutions of the existing order, adapted for the challenges that we face today.
Oh, boy.
So enlightened.
That is heady stuff from Jake Sullivan. The institutions we have so much faith in that will, and that are so resilient, they'll just have to adapt to the new conditions on the ground, I see. So like the World Health Organization, Jake, we find from House investigators, the Chinese lab there in Wuhan, where the virus definitely did not emanate from.
For sure.
They mapped the coronavirus 2 weeks before Beijing told the world, a lead time that could have been critical in providing timely and more thoughtful, ideally, response. Probably more thoughtful wouldn't have happened, but our partners in combating the pandemic and in peace, the Chinese Communist Party that controls the World Health Organization. Those are the sorts of institutions that Jake Sullivan and all of those other deep thinkers at the World Economic Forum are going to lean on in the coming days and years and generations. For more on this meeting in Davos of our betters, we're pleased to be joined by Cliff May, president of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies and foreign affairs columnist for the Washington Times. Cliff, when do you get your star turn at the World Economic Forum?
Gosh, I missed it yet again. And I hear the skiing is good at Davos right now, too.
Indeed. So are the prostitutes, I hear. Yeah.
I missed that, but Dan, if that's the case, I'll make a note.
Well, from what I've heard, I'm also not invited. So what about, if there's not really anything to distill, it's just a bunch of, sort of Georgetown gobbledygook. But Jake Sullivan on the New World Order and these Davos deep thinkers, actually Walter Russell Mead had a good piece about it in the Wall Street Journal. What they're really convening to do is try to come up with a cover story for their massive failures and their increasing irrelevance, as much as there are conspiracies that abound about these people. They're shockingly ineffectual.
You're exactly right, and that was a very good, interesting, and revealing quote by Jake Sullivan that you played. He wants to believe, and maybe has convinced himself, that the international order is evolving. That's what he said. What he doesn't seem to recognize is the international order is not evolving, it's eroding. And there's no better example of that than what's happening in the Red Sea. Why is that? Because the oldest of international laws is freedom of the seas. All right? It goes back to the 1600s, actually, this idea that the seas belong to everybody and we want commerce. Well, we had the U.S. in its earliest days enforcing freedom of the seas in the Mediterranean when Americans were being taken hostage by jihadists. American sailors were. The Marines were born. That's what, from the shores of Tripoli, that's what that's all about. Now, what you have is the Houthis, this ragtag bunch, but they're not just that. They are proxies of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and they're saying America doesn't enforce freedom of the seas. We decide which ships go and which ships don't, and we will use violence and force to do so, and you're not going to stop us. And at first it's, well, we'll knock down their missiles. And now we've gotten a little bit stronger. If the U.S. doesn't enforce freedom of the seas in the Red Sea, then next thing it will be the Strait of Hormuz by Iran. They've already tried that. And in the South China Sea, we already have the Chinese Communist Party taking reefs, building them into islands, and militarizing them. This is the basis of the erosion. And Jake Sullivan may think that core principles and core institutions are being adapted. No, they're being taken over by Americans' enemies, particularly the Chinese Communist Party, in partnership with Moscow, in partnership with Tehran, in partnership with North Korea, in partnership with Venezuela, partnership with Cuba. And they intend to run the world and make the United States a has-been power.
Well, what about the 2 Navy SEALs that are missing? What happened to them, and what's the latest?
There's a mission to look for them. Most likely, Amy, they are lost. And the blame for this goes to the Islamic Republic of Iran. And we need to understand that the Islamic Republic of Iran is an enemy of the United States. For 45 years, they have been chanting death to America, and we keep saying, I don't think you really mean it. How about we give you another $10 billion? How about we give you another $20 billion? How about this has been the policy of this administration and very much the policy of the Obama administration. If you remember, Obama said, I'm going to reach out my hand and I hope you will unclench your fist. Fine. That was an experiment. Maybe it was worth trying. You did, and now we know they will not unclench their fist. They intend to what they call the axis of resistance, their various proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, the various Shia militias that are attacking Americans in Syria, Iraq. They want death to America. At the very least, what they want and what Putin wants and what Xi Jinping wants is to diminish the United States and make it into a second-rate power and say, we run the world, you don't, you had your time, it's over. And Jake Sullivan needs to understand that's not core principles and core institutions adapting. It's rather they're being transformed and taken over. World Health Organization is a very good example of that, Dan, as you pointed out, because it's largely been, and particularly during the COVID epidemic, was taken over by who? By the Chinese Communist Party, because I think we now know where the virus came from. And they didn't want people to know, and they didn't want the World Health Organization either revealing that or talking about that.
Well, wait a second. Now, the Houthis, they were a designated terrorist organization prior to Biden, but then that designation was removed because I assume we were going to do like a summer jobs program in Yemen. They're just a bunch of young men who need jobs, and then they would give up their terrorist tendencies. But now they're designated as a terrorist organization again. Interesting. So did the summer jobs program fail, or what happened?
The summer jobs program did not go as planned. That's right. What happened was President Trump designated them as a foreign. The Houthis, who are rebels, by the way, they control most of the country, but not all of the country. There's still a government in place that we theoretically support, but doesn't have a whole lot of power anymore. So what happened? Designated President Biden didn't like that. He lifted the designation. He said it's mostly for humanitarian reasons. We want to be able to get more aid in because people are suffering. They don't have enough food, medicine. Guess what? The Houthis have had plenty of missiles, helicopters that they've used to hijack ships, plenty of drones, plenty of other weapons. There's no problem with that. And no mention was made when the lifting of the designation on the Houthis of what their slogan is. It's on every flag they have, and it makes clear it's like their mission statement. And what does the slogan say? It says, "God is the greatest. Death to America. Death to Israel. A curse upon the Jews. Victory to Islam." So that's what they want.
You could interpret that in so many different ways, though, right?
Yeah. It may not be. Sounds bad, but maybe not, yeah.
Right. Cliff May, president of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracy, foreign affairs columnist for the Washington Times. Cliff, thanks as always.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I'm doing it right now, taking my Balance of Nature. I love it because I'm not getting enough fruits and veggies on my own, and that's where Balance of Nature comes in. 31 different fruits and veggies. They take the fruits and vegetables, and they process them through a cold vacuum processing, which stabilizes the maximum nutrient content. Can I speak English? Real nutrition, real science. So get the nutrition your body needs and get the nutrition your body craves. Get Balance of Nature. Here's what you do. You can go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to use discount code Chicago. First-timers get free shipping and 35% off. Or be old school and call the 800 number, 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. And be sure to use discount code Chicago.
In the midst of finishing up a so-so 2023, Bob wondered where the sales were. He lost 2 long-term clients, and his back-end operations were slowing down production. His family business had always been successful, but now their outdated processes were holding back the growth. Bob knew he needed to embrace technology and upgrade their systems. He never thought he'd be stuck in the Stone Age. That's when he discovered Turnkey, who helped bring his business current. Now, Bob has a new e-commerce capability, a cutting-edge marketing plan, and a real growth strategy. With Turnkey's help, he's developed a new vision for what's possible, a plan for the future, and a small business partner to help him get things done.
If you need a partner to help you with a fresh perspective for 2024, or if you feel like you're falling behind, Turnkey believes that every business has the opportunity to stay current and competitive. Turnkey is here to provide you with the solutions, guidance, and support that you need to conquer your business and IT challenges. Start a conversation today. Visit turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
It's a new year, and that means New Year's resolutions. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And if one of your New Year's resolutions was to do more to help others, then we want to let you know that you still have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of children in Latin America and the Caribbean through Food for the Poor. Your donation of just $80 provides food for an entire year for 2 children. That's life-changing. Just because the Christmas season is over, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. Food for the Poor is a faith-based organization that works with partners on the ground to make sure these children are fed. You know, we talk a lot about the root causes of our immigration crisis, and one of those causes is the situation in many of these countries. This is your chance to help take care of others. To make a donation of any amount, just visit 560theanswer.com/food for the poor. That's 560theanswer.com/food for the poor. Thanks again for your generosity.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. It's a big week at the Supreme Court. Today, the justices are hearing two big cases that could mark the beginning of the end of 4 decades of bureaucratic overreach. In 1984, the Chevron decision held that federal agencies could rely on a presidential administration's policy views to resolve ambiguities in federal laws. The problem with this approach is that the Constitution vests legislative power in our Congress, not in administrative agencies staffed by unelected bureaucrats. The Loper-Bright enterprises and relentless cases give the Supreme Court an opportunity to make that point clear. It's also a chance to return lawmaking to leaders that voters can hold accountable. Chief Justice Roberts and Justices Alito, Gorsuch, and Thomas have previously expressed concerns with the Chevron case. It takes only one more vote to put lawmaking back where it belongs, in the hands of elected officials. Let's hope that happens. We'll be watching closely.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, of course, weather is impacting the NFL playoffs. And Tampa Bay coach Todd Bowles had a presser yesterday in advance of Sunday's game in Detroit against the Lions. And he was asked the following.
Coach, looking forward towards Detroit. The weather has been a factor in some of the playoff games, even for the most prepared teams. Today, it's 13 in Detroit, which doesn't compare to some of the temperatures we tend to drop to. Any special plans to acclimate the team to not only endure but perform in those kind of frigid temperatures should you face them in Detroit?
You do know we play indoors, right? And they got a dome. I don't. No, nothing planned. We're indoors, and we only have to be outside for 20 seconds getting off the bus going under the thing, so we'll be okay.
I feel
Diversity
so bad.
higher. Diversity higher.
Yeah, of course, it was a female who asked the question. But the thing is, they played in a dome. Remember, it was the Pontiac Silverdome where we played. That was up and running since 1975, and then they moved to Ford Field, downtown Detroit, and it's a dome there too. So
Follow-up question.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any
front row.
preparation? Are you making any special plans to play inside a dome on turf at 72 degrees on Sunday? One of the reasons I like Todd Bowles is he was more generous than I would have been.
God,
but
you would have destroyed her.
It deserves the ridicule. The sports press corps, an adjunct of the political press corps, as I always say.
That's true.
But
they're not naming her name, are they?
Unfortunately, they not. They should. She's being protected, and she shouldn't be. Todd Bowles, though, back at the beginning of the season, in advance of playing in advance of the Bucs playing the Steelers. Todd Bowles is black. Mike Tomlin, the longtime coach of the Steelers, is black.
Yes, we know.
Listen to this exchange.
Okay.
You and Mike Tomlin are two of the few black head coaches in the league. I wonder what your relationship is like with them and your thoughts on Steve Wilkes joining that fold.
I have a very good relationship with Tomlin. We don't look at what color we are when we coach against each other. We just know each other. I have a lot of very good white friends that coach in this league as well, and I don't think it's a big deal as far as us coaching against each other. I think it's normal. Wilkes got an opportunity to do a good job. Hopefully he does it. And we coach ball. We don't look at color.
But you also understand that representation matters too.
Diversity higher.
When young aspiring coaches
the same woman?
and football players
Could be.
Stop talking.
they see someone that looks like them, maybe grew up like them, that has to mean something.
Well, when you say you see you guys and look like them and grow up like them, means that we're oddballs to begin with. And I think the minute you guys stop making a big deal about it, everybody else will as well.
Oh, he's my new favorite NFL coach.
Thank you, Todd Bowles. Go Bucks.
Oh, my gosh. All right, thanks also to our extraordinary morning zoo crew, Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Quinn McCarthy, our executive producer. We are back here bright and early, 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
The Chicago area is still bitter cold, but a wind chill advisory expires in moments. Most schools have reopened today. Illinois providing more funding to support migrants outside of the city of Chicago. Inspector General